Now, our home has a new name, the Tyrone Ethanol Broadcast Center. Live shows and the latest coverage of NDSU athletics.
Director of Athletics Matt Larson joining us. Head coach Matt Entz with us in studio.
It's all presented by Tyrone Ethanol, helping North Dakota lead the energy revolution. Join their growing team by visiting TyroneEthanol.com.
An orthopedic surgeon makes understanding pain painless.
It's the biggest frustration that patients have.
This is Dr. Pamela Mehta talking about aches with unexpected origins.
I see patients with pain in their knees, their hips, their back. Oftentimes, the pain is actually coming from their feet.
Bet they aren't expecting to hear that.
Those patients are super surprised. They can't believe that the pain in their knee isn't coming from actually inside the knee. But if you think about it, the feet are the base to your whole body.
That's why she suggests personally fit arch supports. Emphasis on the personal fit.
If you get something basing it just on your shoe size, it isn't going to fit you properly.
And if it doesn't fit well, it probably won't work well.
Go get arch supports fitted to you. It's as easy as going into a Good Feet store.
Try Good Feet for yourself with a free fitting. Learn more at goodfeet.com.
You'll find the Good Feet store on 13th Avenue near TJ Maxx Plaza. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit goodfeetfargo.com.
The construction is almost done at the Gateway Clearance Center, and the construction sale is going strong. No negotiations necessary, and payments starting as low as $99 a month. That's right, payments starting at just $99 a month at the Gateway Clearance Center, with a great selection of clean used cars, trucks, and SUVs. And right now, every vehicle is sale priced. Enjoy extra discounts for the construction sale going on now at Gateway Clearance Center on South University Drive in Fargo, or online at fmclearancecenter.com.
KQWB, West Fargo, Fargo-Moorhead, and KPFX, HD3 Kindred, Bison 1660. Powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
And here's what you need to know.
NFL media reports that New England Patriots cornerback Joejuan Williams has suffered a season-ending shoulder injury. Today's joint practice between the Patriots and the Carolina Panthers featured multiple fights that saw players from both teams get kicked out of the joint practice.
It's already been addressed.
All right. Anyway, ESPN reports that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are signing linebacker Carl Nassib to a one-year deal. Nassib had spent the past 2 seasons with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Miami Dolphins placed tight end Adam Shaheen on season-ending injury reserve. The Dolphins traded Shaheen to Houston last week, only to have Shaheen not pass his physical, nullifying the deal. And Sports Business Journal reports Amazon's Thursday Night Football package will have its audience measured by Nielsen ratings. It's the first time that Nielsen will be measuring viewership for a streaming service. I'm Isaac Lowenkron.
You've got the insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
That's what living is. The 6 inches in front of your face.
Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proceed. Need seed? Think Proceed. Now, here are the Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders. The Insiders.
Insiders.
The Insiders.
Andy Rickoff and Bison great Kyle Emanuel.
Welcome on in. Back with you. It is the Insiders. Andy Rickoff, Kyle Emanuel, Micah Bindi. The whole crew is here inside our glorious Tyrone Ethanol Broadcast Center and ready for another 2-hour tour of some sports talk here with you on a Tuesday. 2 hours on a Tuesday. There's 2 for Tuesday, something like that. It seems like some sort of promo at a bar or restaurant, a 2 for Tuesday during happy hours or something.
There was February 22nd. It was a Tuesday, and at 2:22 at Mexican Village, I was having a margarita. It was great. It was 2:22 at 2:22.
Oh, okay.
On a Tuesday. That was the date. It was called Tuesday.
Tuesday,
wow.
So it's 2/22/22.
It even had a Snapchat filter.
They really got
I do remember that, actually. I was thinking back in the February. Yeah, the 2/22/22 at 2/22/22.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's too many twos for me. Do you pay attention to weird dates?
No, not until someone brings it up.
Yeah, like Micah just did.
Yeah.
Out of the middle of nowhere. Just bringing that one up. Apparently he's drinking on the job, too, so he's having a margaritas. Whatever. He's doing that. We're back in here with you at the Thorold Ethanol Broadcast Center talking some sports. We're going to talk some Bison football today because we are 1 day closer. We're not 2 days away. I think we're 18 days away and some change at this point. You can go see the actual time up to the second we're away from kickoff at the Fargo Dome. On our website, Bison1660.com, our countdown to kickoff clock brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the Bison. But another day closer, getting just that much closer to the kickoff of another season as the Bison look to capture a 10th national title in the FCS. But before we get to anything else in the day, before we give you the guest lineup, tell you who we have on, get you ready for the show, all that, we do have it's a very special day, so we have a very special song that we must play at the start of the show.
Are you going to sing, Andy?
No, I'm not going to sing.
Please.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Nice.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday,
dear Kyle.
Happy birthday, happy.
That was a great rendition by one Micah Bindi, but you got the name wrong. It's Esley Thornton's birthday today. That's what I was talking about. Esley Thornton's birthday today. Former Bison Esley Thornton's birthday today. So congratulations, Esley, if you're out there listening. Great family, the Thornton family does a lot of great work in the area. Nah, just kidding. Kyle Emanuel's birthday today as well. We brought him in a donut. He did eat the donut. He didn't deny the calories, so you had a donut, which is great.
I was going to go get some this morning, actually, and bring them in for you, and I kind of forgot. Got sidetracked. I made myself
I'm
a
bringing
nice
it in for you. It's your birthday.
Well, yeah, but isn't that how it goes sometimes? Like in the workplace, it's your birthday, so you buy the stuff. you bring
Sometimes
it
is
everyone.
how it goes. Unfortunately, yes. You got to celebrate your own birthday. Hey, I made my own cake. Does everybody want some? Yeah.
I did celebrate this morning by myself. I made myself a nice little pancake, bacon, coffee, breakfast. Had a nice little morning to myself and with the dog. And
there you go.
It was a nice little morning.
Oh, look
now
at you.
Here I am.
Enjoying married life?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Of course.
Can't believe your wife didn't make you birthday.
I had a feeling that was going to. She actually offered.
Okay.
She's not much of a morning person, and she was like going to get up.
with her.
She was going to get up at like 6 a.m., make this breakfast, get ready for work. She'd be there by 8, and I was like, no, you don't do all that. I don't. First of all, I don't.
You probably won't even be up that early.
Well, exactly. So first of all, I don't want to be the reason you're tired all day. I don't need to have that hanging over my head, and I didn't want to get up at 6 a.m. Her alarm goes off. I'm getting up. I was like, selfishly, I want to sleep. Like I'll just make it myself. Don't worry about it. So.
Okay. Maybe a dinner or something then.
Yeah.
There you go. That's how you do it. Have you ever done bacon pancakes?
I have not.
You take a scoop of bacon and dip it in pancake batter.
I haven't made them. I think I've had them once or twice, maybe.
One of my personal favorites.
Yeah, you get the sweet, you get the savory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a
just combine
huge breakfast food fan.
There you go.
Of all. You ever watch Parks and Rec?
Oh,
Parks and Rec.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like, why do people eat anything but breakfast food? Because they're stupid, Leslie.
Because they're stupid.
Yeah.
Ron Swanson's got some of the best lines in all of
best.
TV. Him and, by the way, famous people on your birthday, Steve Carell. Yeah.
The Office.
The Office.
Yes.
That's my show. It's kind of like
I don't
Parks
think
and
I
Recs.
knew that
Michael
one.
Scott.
The one that I always remember is
60.
Wow.
I know. I don't think he's that old. I thought he'd be in maybe his mid-50s.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he was in his early 40s or something, maybe late 30s when that show started.
Yeah.
At least that's what they claimed his character was.
No! God, please, no! No!
Dynamite drop-in.
Yes.
Michael Scott.
That was a great drop-in. The one I always remember at my birthday, I think this is correct. It could be wrong. It's a little bit more of a downer. I think Elvis Presley died on my birthday, I believe.
Yeah, it's more of a downer.
You can fact-check that one, but it's the one that I always remember. I don't know why, but I do.
I don't really have any famous people on my birthday other than Cole Jurek. So
I know Kobe Bryant's birthday was like the 23rd or something like that. He was close. He was my favorite athlete growing up. So there's a lot. Like you said, Esley Thornton's birthday is in fact today. You weren't just making that up. His is today.
I was correct on that. I saw that on Facebook.
There's a bunch of like some like Ryan Smith's is coming up. There's I know I'm forgetting.
You and Esley played together, right?
Oh yeah, same class.
That's what I thought. But so was there ever like you and him having the same birthday? Everybody bringing donuts on the team or mention it? Yeah.
No, everyone's miserable in the middle of 2 days. It was. I think on my 21st birthday, I went out, had enough time, and had like one beer at like Applebee's or something.
Ooh, living it up.
and went home.
No doubt about
I'm pretty
that.
sure we had 2 days on my birthday. On my 21st
Well, it makes
birthday.
sense.
Yeah. So it was not a lot of celebrating going on.
I don't think there would be. So happy birthday! Congratulations, another year older. Does it feel weird? Now you're in the 30s.
31.
You're well in. Yeah,
31. Yeah,
that's just 30.
I don't feel it. I definitely don't feel it. But time is something, right? It keeps flying by, as they say. I'm not the only one, but yeah, it goes fast. Feels like I was just celebrating that 21st birthday, and I was at NDSU in college, and now I'm looking back, and I'm almost 8 years out. Almost 8 years since I played a game at NDSU.
But he's actually feeling better now.
Just wild. It's okay. I'll tell you one thing about coaching, though. Coaching in the high school level, like standing on the turf for 4 hours, like I feel like I played a game. Like my back is tight. Like I'm constantly trying to move and kind of crack it and get things moving in there. And so there's still some days where I'm like, why do I feel like this?
Yep.
Like I haven't played football in almost 2 years or whatever it is. So there's still days, Andy. You've got a hamstring thing going on, and
trust me, I know.
Other softball-related injuries.
Softball and basketball injuries. I'm playing pickup and not playing professionally.
I've got
not even close.
Hey, I've got hurt in a pickup game before. So.
Okay, well, that makes me feel a little bit better about myself and my lot of life.
Yeah, it happens. Luckily, knock on wood, nothing major yet for me. So at least we got that going.
At least we got that going for you. Well, so happy birthday. There we go. Started off the show the right way. What we had to do to start it off. If you want to send a happy birthday message to our own Kyle Emanuel, you can do that. You can text us 701-476-1660. You can also call us at that number, the Epic Companies hotline, or you can email the show, studio@bison1660.com. The Rick Electric email inbox is open for you today. It is a Tuesday, which means that it's time for the Missouri Valley Mix later on today, brought to you by Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty. We'll be doing that with Missouri State today. Wyatt Wheeler of the Springfield News Leader will be joining us to go over the Bears and everything happening with Missouri State. I would say a team we're all interested in this year. Picked third in the Valley, a team that is expected to play well and expected maybe to actually make a playoff run this year. Didn't do that last year with the loss to UT Martin in the first round, but very good team. Bobby Petrino has built that thing up, gotten it off the ground a little bit more than it was back in your playing days, Kyle. But that's a team that's a legit threat. Although, I will say, and I'll probably bring this up to Wyatt, last week I picked them of the top 5 teams. What team do you think possibly could slip a little bit? I did pick them as that team that could slip.
Yeah, you did. And I did not for not one reason, but one big reason is their quarterback, Jason Shelley. I think if you look at any football team, that's one piece you have to have. Now, I'm not naive enough to sit here and say the quarterback's the only thing you need in football. Like, I didn't play offense. Like, I know you have to have a lot of other things. But that's definitely a key piece, and especially if you're not a run-dominant offense, if passing is a big part of what you do, if the quarterback run game is something you do, you got to have a quarterback. You got to have a guy that can lead your team, and they have one there. They have one in Jason Shelley, one of the top guys returning this year, a guy that will probably maybe compete for the Walter Payton Award, maybe compete for Missouri Valley Offensive Player of the Year. But like you said, they found some success. They had some in the spring. They had some last fall, but they haven't been able to do it in the playoffs. So that's going to be the big question, I think, for Bobby Petrino this year and his coaching staff is, okay, you've done it now in the regular season. I believe they share or won the Missouri Valley outright in the spring. Okay, well, now we need to take that next step. How do you take that next step? And maybe that's a question for our guests later on. But how do you start to win in the playoffs? You you can't just keep winning the regular season. We talked about that with Sacramento State. Like it's a game. It's
good for your fan base for a little bit.
For sure.
Like when you've been as bad as Missouri State was for a while, it's like, oh, we made the playoffs. That's great. That's a good step. But once you've made it a couple of times, it's okay. We've made it. Let's try and not win a championship. Don't get to the semifinals, but hey, let's win a game or two, especially when you're a seeded team going in or something.
Yeah, you're at home in a game that they should not have lost last year. That's where the fan base is going to start to question. Okay, if they win that game against UT Martin and then lose in the second round, and I'm not sure who they would have had in the second round, then maybe it's okay. We took a little bit of a step here, but now how do we get maybe even to the semis, quarterfinal semis? That's going to be the big question down there in Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah, so we'll get Wyatt on at 11:30 on the program today. And then also at noon, very much looking forward to this, we'll catch up in Cincinnati. Talk about Cordell Volson a little bit and his performance in preseason game number 1. Charlie Goldsmith, who is not a goldsmith, but he is a reporter for the Cincinnati Enquirer, covering the Cincinnati Reds, but also the Cincinnati Bengals. And we'll get his thoughts on what's going on with Cordell. Was basically on the second team in preseason game number 1, but I read a lot of tweets that said, man, he was good. We got to get him on the first team. I saw a picture of a touchdown run from like the 1 or 2 yard line where he's in the back of the end zone still blocking his guy.
Right.
Like, yep, finish the block. Sounds about right. That's what a Bison lineman's going to do. and a lot of good reports out of Cincinnati Bengals camp of him playing. I thought it was going to be right guard. It looks like left guard is the spot where he could possibly work himself into the starting lineup. So is he working with the ones in practice early this week? We'll find out when we talk with Charlie Goldsmith at noon. He'll be a first-time guest on the program. You got to start getting – that's not the problem. That's the good problem when you got so many pro Bison is that you got to start finding people at every single one of these NFL teams to cover.
All over the country.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Make you earn your paycheck.
Yeah, I think I'm earning it. I like to think I'm kind of earning it a little bit.
For
but
sure.
You got to find some guys out there in Cincinnati now because of Cordell Volson. So what's that process like you think Cordell's going through? You were there rookie year. When you got there in San Diego, was that position when you were drafted a little bit open? Was there a battle for that?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they definitely there was some need there on the edge. They had their starters. I ended up starting week 1 because of an injury, though. So I mean, it wasn't that deep of a position. Jerry Atauchu was a second-round pick a year before me or 2 years before me, and he ends up going down. And yeah, I got a chance to start week 1. But a guy, Cordell was drafted in a similar position as me, not the same, but similar position. When you're kind of that mid-round guy, like, they're not necessarily looking for you to start right away. You kind of have to earn it. So him rolling with the second team at this point is not a surprise. But there's always that chance. I know I've talked about this before on the show, but when you're a drafted guy, I feel like you get a little bit more of an opportunity. You get a little bit more of a chance to make a splash to be a starter and to definitely make the team. I think they'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And I think Cordell, just from what we've seen, has done more than that. He had a good performance from everything we've seen in that first game. I think he's been doing some good things in practice. So they're going to give him every opportunity to start. Now it's just a matter of going out and doing it and winning a job.
And these are just a couple of the tweets I saw from different reporters, different people following. It's not just fans, but actual reporters or people that follow the Cincinnati Bengals. Looking forward to Cordell Volson hopefully getting his shot against some guys who will make an NFL roster next week. There's no question who looked better tonight between him and Jack Carmen, who is the first team starting left guard. Paul Denner, who's a big-time reporter for Cincinnati on the Athletic. You kind of ranked his guys up or down, the people who had a nice night. Chris Evans, Dax Hill, and Cordell Volson having a nice night. Paul, same guy, reporter for The Athletic, saying really nice series for Cordell Volson on that touchdown drive, held up in protection and cleared space in the run game. The drive ends with a Jocks Patrick running touchdown behind Cordell Volson. I'd expect to see Volson in the game at left guard earlier next week against New York. Another one here, Cordell Volson is looking better than Jackson Carmen. He should be working with the ones after tonight. And then Jay Morrison, another reporter for The Athletic covering the Bengals. The Bengals not only ran behind left guard Cordell Volson on the touchdown, look where the rookie finishes his block, and this is the one where he's basically halfway into the end zone when the touchdown's already been called and still engaged on the block, just like a Bison lineman is taught to do. So looking for good things from Cordell. I think when I look over at all the either first year or second year guys, Trey Lance is technically a second year player. That Trey had a really good first game. Got him out there early. I don't expect to see him against the Vikings this week because they have the joint practice, and it looks like Kyle Shanahan's just going to get everything he needs from the joint practice stuff, where you're not really allowed to tackle or touch Trey Lance, and not going to get him hurt more than likely. But I thought he looked really good. Christian Watson off of the PUP list. Haven't seen him yet. I would think he's got a chance to play a little bit this week, but also hasn't practiced a bunch, so they might just hold him out till preseason game number 3. Have to wait and see on Christian Watson. Cordell, I thought, looked really good. I know there was a couple of tackles and a pass defended for Braden Thomas with the LA Rams. He knocked a pass down at the line, so I think he's kind of doing what you did as defensive end here, but helping a little bit at the outside linebacker stuff and kind of moving around a bit for the Rams. So that's he's going through the same thing you did a bit.
Yeah, I think it was kind of, I don't want to say obvious, but it was something that he was probably going to have to do. At his size, he was kind of like me. You're kind of in between. Are you big enough to be a defensive end, or are you athletic enough? Can you move enough to be an outside linebacker? And I always said I liked the move to outside linebacker. It was a nice little switch up. Now it did take a little bit of time to get used to standing up. I know that sounds like such a little thing, but even switching our feet, I had my inside foot back when I was a defensive end, and then we switched our feet with our inside foot up. Just little things like that. It takes a little bit getting used to. Dropping into coverage obviously takes a little bit getting used to. Before, when I was in college, it was like, all right, I know what I need to do on the defensive line. And you basically ignore what they're doing in the back end. There was little things. If they're in man-to-man, things like that, you knew you had to keep the quarterback in the pocket. But dropping into coverage is definitely the biggest difference. Now, it's as a 3-4 outside. I think the Rams are a 4-3 now. They could still be a 3.
Like Von Miller was sometimes hand in the dirt, sometimes standing up. You know,
and he's Von Miller, so he gets to
exactly
do what he wants.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're dropping into the flats. You're maybe a match coverage here or there. Like you're not getting asked to play man-to-man on wide receivers when I say dropping into coverage. So I don't want to say simple, but as simple as it can get when it comes to the coverage aspect. So yeah, it's a transition. It's something that a lot of guys have to do, and I'm sure he's doing it well out there in LA.
And Josh Babbage, for those that might be wondering, he is with Carolina, but got injured last week. Was actually carted off of the field, undisclosed injury from what I had read. So that's the latest on Josh. Hopefully he makes a speedy recovery and can get himself at least another shot to make that team and be on that practice squad, active roster. I thought it was a good spot when he signed there because there's just not many tight ends. They had like 2 guys on the roster, and one dude was 6 years into the league, not really had done much, so there was a chance to at least make that roster. But a little bit of an injury for Josh Babbage. So that's your kind of catch up on everything going on with some of the pro Bison out there for NDSU. We're listening to The Insiders, brought to you by Proceed, home of the Right Choice and Right Stuff programs, and online at proceed.net. If you need seed, think Proceed. Let's take our first break of the show. We'll come back, talk a little bit about some of the things going on with NDSU football here on the show, and then we'll get you ready for the Missouri Valley Mix at 11:30 today on The Insiders.
You've got The Insiders on your Bison Nation station, Bison 1660.
Proceed's company core values, in my eyes, are trust, integrity, and fulfilling the promise. Proceed's been in business for 30 years for a reason. They keep things simple, they watch what their farmer needs, and they take care of it. We promise what we deliver. Proceed has had some of the same customers for the past 30 years as they started with. With that comes the integrity that we live by at Proceed. We want to be that trusted advisor with them, their farm, their family.
Tired of moving snow and mowing your own lawn? NV Condos at the Lights are set to open January 1st of 2023. If you are looking for the perfect place to call home, look no further than the 7th floor overlooking West Fargo at NV at the Lights. Buyers have the choice between finished packages, viewpoints, and can reserve their unit now. If you are interested in setting up a walkthrough to select your unit, visit condosbyepic.com. That's condosbyepic.com. We look forward to helping you find your next home.
Today is National Rum Day, and you can't celebrate National Rum Day without mojitos. Order an ice-cold minty mojito for $4 at Twin Peaks. And let's cheers to this essential holiday. Pair that mojito with Twin Peaks' latest new dish on their menu, the Chicken Street Corn Salad. The new addition features iceberg lettuce, charred corn, lentils, billionaire's bacon, roasted jalapenos, parmesan, pico de gallo, green onions, cilantro, tortilla strips, creamy lime vinaigrette, and chili lime salts. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Don't let your profits get stuck in your truck. Let it slide with Super Slide. Super Slide is a plastic, non-stick, self-lubricating, and seamless liner that eliminates waste in your truck or on your trailer. Super Slide is available in various grades, widths, and thicknesses, and Horn Plastics can have you in and out in no time. Call today to get your installation scheduled so you can get every last dime out of your haul with Super Slide from Horn Plastics, created and perfected for every job. Visit hornplastics.com for more information.
When it's time to find a realtor, word of mouth is important, and Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty is a name Bison Nation says often. Todd has helped everyone from coaches and administrators to broadcasters and former players and their families buy homes in the FM area. So many in Bison Nation trust Todd to buy and sell their homes, and you can too. Call Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty today or visit him in person at 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo. Todd is a proud partner and the preferred realtor of NDSU Athletics. Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty, moving the herd one home at a time. Are you a business owner with remodel plans in the near future? When it comes to your electrical needs, you only need one call, and that's to JDP Electric. JDP's team of professionals will work with you closely and are able to follow a strict timeline to get your project done when it's needed. That way, you don't have to worry about closing your doors and missing any customers or sales. Put your company in the best hands by calling JDP right away. Call 701-232-1991 today to experience the JDP difference or online at jdpelectric.net.
2 hours of sports talk every weekday, 11 to 1.
Well. Oh, my gracious.
Now, let's get back to the Insiders.
Welcome back in. It is the Insiders on a Tuesday edition for you here on Bison 1660 from our Tyrone Ethanol Broadcast Center. Tyrone Ethanol is one of the nation's largest ethanol facilities. This 175 million gallon per year ethanol plant is located just west of Castleton. Fuel your future by joining the growing team today. View open positions at TyroneEthanol.com. Andy Rickoff, Micah Bindi, Kyle Emanuel with you. It is a week, at this point, week 3.5-ish. Remember, fall camp starts on Thursday. It's always hard to keep track of all of the weeks up there. But you're into week 3 here of fall camp. What are the players feeling in week 3 as they're a couple days in?
Probably about the same as it did after day 3.
Has it gotten worse or better?
It kind of reaches a head. It kind of
Early?
plateaus. Yeah, pretty early. You kind of feel the first couple days getting the football legs, I call them, back underneath you is tough, and then it kind of just evens out after that. You're just constantly sore. Usually had like a slight headache, which I know is not good to have, but you're banging every single day, and it's a grind. Like I don't know how many more times I can say. I mean, it's a grind of a camp now. At this point, they might start doing things a little bit different. I don't want to say dialing it back yet, but you might get into some different game plan stuff. Maybe even some teams that aren't week 1. I know we did that a couple times early on in camp and say, hey, we're gonna just for a day or even just for like half a practice go over, maybe Arizona, maybe South Dakota State, some teams that kind of have given you fits before. You go over some of their stuff, just kind of, you're still improving. Obviously, you're still trying to get better, but a little bit of a game plan stuff before you really dial in to that week 1 opponent.
So you couldn't not look ahead, but do some things for even SDSU
Right.
or Arizona or stuff like that?
It's not like we were necessarily watching film of them. It
Yeah.
was more so the coach's game plan for teams all summer, all
Work on some things that they
off-season.
think might work against that team.
Right, or just little things like that. We would kind of, again, I don't want to say look ahead because you never overlook week 1 opponent, but when you have, I mean, how many days did they have of practice before? Like you're not going to spend 30 days on Drake, you know what I mean, or 30
Correct.
days on your second week of like. It's not productive. You're going to get diminishing returns at some point. So, week 1 and 2, you're going to work on yourself. You're just going to be going offense, defense. Maybe you start to get a little bit later into camp. Maybe do a couple team reps, a couple live reps against something you might see from someone down the road. Just to kind of bank it in the memory and just to have it when you do get to that game and get to those opponents.
And like I said, we're 18 days and a couple hours away, almost 17 days here, and like at 2 o'clock we'll be 17 days away. At what point do they start actually doing prep for Drake?
I would
next
say
week or the week after.
I would say you do a little bit. Yeah, probably like 10 days out, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit before that game week. You'll do a little bit prepping for Drake, and then once you get to game week, you try. It's not going to be the exact same as a normal game week, but that's when you try and simulate, get the guys used to their routine, and then you get to that Monday, that Tuesday of Drake week. That's when you're fully in. You're into that week 1 opponent. You're all in on Drake at that point.
Last week when we had Matt Entz on Friday, by the way, I did ask him. He gave us a couple of names, and he said Kellen Entz is doing fine, doing a
Yeah,
good job.
okay.
He hasn't had to yell at him, but other coaches have.
Okay.
Other coaches have
That's
definitely made
good.
sure they
That's
yell
a-
at him
that's
so
all
far.
right. That's all right. You have to have that.
It's great to have his son in camp,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So he's very happy, and there's some young names. He mentioned a couple, especially at that wide receiver position, like Kai Collins and Carson Hagerly were a couple that he made sure to mention. So there's some guys standing out a little bit early on in camp here.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I think when you're a freshman, and not even just freshmen, but guys who've been in the program for a while, you start to get a little more comfortable. You start to get. I've heard, we heard that with Eli Mostert going into his 3rd year playing. You start to get used to the playbook a little bit more. You stop thinking so much. You don't have to worry about the mental side of the game as much. You can just focus on reacting, and that's when I always felt like I was at my best as a player. Was you get rid of overthinking things, overthinking your playbook, overthinking what the offense might do to you, and just react and be an athlete and show up and play. You're there for a reason, right? Whether it's a walk-on or a scholarship player, like you're there for a reason. Let your God-given abilities take over, and I think that's like you said, I think that's what Coach Ed's seeing from some of these young guys.
So looking forward to seeing more from them. He did mention as well. So the battle at the 2 linebacker positions. That's kind of going on right now.
Yeah.
Hasn't named a starter. That doesn't think he can name a starter right now because they've both been doing really well at every position, and especially you look at Nick Kubitz and Luke Wirtz at that middle linebacker spot. Neither has really separated themselves, both doing a good job, according to Coach Entz. Had a timetable of maybe that week of the game, a couple days before that as well, hopefully having a starter, having an idea of who they want to be that guy. When there are battles, and there's battles, it seems like every camp, some camps have more than others, can you guys tell when you're practicing, like, okay, that guy's probably going to be the dude at this point? Is this the time when you're starting to figure that when you're 16 days or so into camp?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, and sometimes it's little subtle things that just who's repping with the ones. And I know, if there's a battle, they're going to try and, separate them. Yeah, split it equally. But there's always just going to be little things. And as a player, you can evaluate yourself. I mean, you can tell who's having a better camp. It's not rocket science, right? I mean, the coaches might have a little bit different opinion of you, but I know when Zach Mathis was in here, he said they didn't know, but it was Zeb and Trey Lance competing. They said they didn't really know right away, but usually for me, like as a player, you just get, like you said, like you just get a feeling. Yeah, you might not know 100%, but you get a feeling based on little subtleties of who's going to be that guy, and then the players do as well. For me, I was kind of, I guess you could say I was locked into one even early on as a freshman, and I didn't worry about it. I knew, and it was different for me because it was defensive line. We talked about a lot. The defensive line rotates a ton at NDSU, so I wasn't really concerned. I had a feeling I'd get on the field, whether it was as a starter or not. But for some of these positions, middle linebacker being one of them, corner is definitely one as well. Like, you don't rotate as much. Now, we have seen that some from NDSU. They rotated some guys last year. I know there's times I want to get Jackson Hankey off the field and give him a little break. The guy played here for 100 years, it felt like, so there might be some, but there's going to be a clear-cut winner and a guy that becomes a leader of this defense.
Nice things, I think they've got some depth there already at all those spots, and especially when you got a guy like Cole Wisniewski that can kind of step in, it seems like everywhere a little bit. He was a little banged up, and once he gets healthy, you add that to the mix as well. They've got plenty of depth at linebacker. And even at the outside linebacker spot, Oscar Benson and Julian Wodarczyk, that's the other kind of battle going on the defensive side, and then kind of deciding who's going to be the four starting linemen. You have so many guys that it could be, and honestly, the starter doesn't really matter a whole lot because NDSU will rotate just a bunch out there. But starting to separate themselves, I'm sure, and it's getting to that time where the coaching staff's probably having those meetings and saying, okay, where's this guy at? How is he doing? Has the light come on for so-and-so? And trying to figure it out. The other big battle is the kicker battle between Will Cardinal and Griffin Crosa. Who's going to be the kicker? And I asked Entz the question about that. Haven't made one yet. More so just going through the mechanics of everything from the snap to the hold, who's going to be the holder, long snappers to the holder, and then actually getting the kickoff and going through the whole process. Said this week is when they're really maybe going to start ramping some more of that stuff up in terms of the quote-unquote competition and seeing who can win that battle. Obviously, only one person's going to be your kickoff guy or your field goal kicker. So was there ever a kicker battle when you were at NDSU?
No, not really. Not at NDSU. I did experience one in the NFL, and it was Josh Lambo and Younghoe Koo, who I believe is kicking for the Atlanta now. And Younghoe at the time, he didn't miss anything, like nothing. Like he probably had like 2 or 3 misses, including practice, preseason games, everything. Like he just didn't miss. Lambo had been slightly inconsistent, had the stronger leg, but he had been there for 2 years. And they ended up cutting Lambo. He goes to Jacksonville and breaks their record for field goal percentage. Younghoe lasted 4 games with us, got into the game situation. I don't know if it must have been a mental thing. He just couldn't make anything.
You missed your first couple, and then it just goes downhill.
We had one of our first games, I think it was against the Broncos on like a Monday night, and he had a 35-yarder or something like that to send us to overtime, missed it. Then like a week later, he had another short kick to win a game against the Dolphins, missed it, and maybe 1 or 2 more games, and he was gone. So
it's such a mental position.
It is, and so that's the kicker battle. I feel like in camp now, both these guys have kicked a little bit in game action, but the kicker battle is so hard in camp because you don't have that pressure of it being the game situation.
Did they ever try and simulate it?
Well, yeah, you try to simulate it. You get guys to start yelling. Like I know at times we'd have everyone surround him, so everyone's like 2 yards away from him and make a noise, and you try, but it's practice. It doesn't matter. It's kind of like in golf when you're hitting on the driving range. It doesn't matter. Okay, I hit a bad one, I get another one. I get another chance. It doesn't really matter. Even if I hit a good one, it doesn't really matter. I just don't know if it's possible. Kind of like it's almost the same as tackling unless you just go straight live scrimmage, but even that's slightly different. Like I don't know if it's possible to completely simulate what you're going to feel in a game, all those nerves, everything that's going on. Again, I like to use golf. It's like in golf, and I can make a 5-footer all day on the putting green. What if it's a 5-footer to win the Masters, or a 5-footer to win any kind of tournament, or 5-footer to win $50 for my buddy? Then you start to get those feelings that you can't just really simulate. So that's kind of where it gets interesting when it comes to kickers.
You ever do like if he makes the kick, practice is over. If he misses it, we're running gassers.
Yeah, I believe we had a couple of those. Yeah, similar to to the big man competition of catching punts. Yeah, we had a couple of those. Like, hey, if we make this, we're done type of thing. So, that's probably, again, that's probably about as close as you can get, right? Because now at least you have a little pressure on you. Like, oh, man, I don't want to miss this, and my teammates are going to be mad at me. And you're already the kicker, and you're golfing most days in fall camp, or maybe not in college, but in training camp, those kickers are, they're in and out, and they're probably hitting the links. So, yeah, the kicker already has that kind of aura, the stigma of like, oh, you guys don't have to do much. Like, your practices are easy, so you better not miss this thing. So that's probably about the best that you can get.
Yeah.
When it
simulating
comes to
the pressure.
Yeah, for sure.
Reminds me of my athletic career, my athletic prowess in high school. It was the free throws for basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's got, this guy's got 5 free throws, that guy's got 5. Whichever one wins or makes more of them, that half of the team, the practice is done. The other half, you're doing some sprints. Unless you both make all 5, then everybody's done. I didn't make all 5. Never did.
Never.
So I was an okay free throw shooter. It was like 70-something%.
That's solid.
That's solid.
That's good.
Yeah, I was in the mid-70s.
I think it was like a 70. Yeah, I think that's about right where I was. Mm-hmm. You could make 5 in a row with that. Come on.
Well, you could. I don't think. I only did it a couple
The pressure
times.
got to you?
Yeah,
Is that what
pressure.
you're saying?
I think I made 4, then missed the 5th one or something like that.
That's what we're talking about.
Yep.
It gets to you.
Pressure gets to you, and everyone starts hooting and hollering. But
that's right.
I think the team won once, but I never made all 5 of them, unfortunately. There's my athletic career resume for you. A lot different than what Kyle Emanuel has sitting across from me here. Slightly different. We'll take a break, though. We'll come back, talk about the athletic prowess of one Wyatt Wheeler, the Springfield News leader, and catch up with everything happening with Missouri State when we come back here on The Insiders.
A sports talk station that Bison Nation deserves. Bison 1660.
Doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, you're always welcome where there's Jim Beam. Small town guy in a big city guy in a small town. Wherever Jim Beam is welcome, you'll be welcome. Country guy at a rock show, Viking fan at a Packer game. Just look for the Jim Beam, and you're always welcome. Your friends at Jim Beam remind you to drink responsibly.
What's cooler than heating your water with an electric water heater?
Let me think about that.
Saving money at the same time.
Yeah, that is cool.
With an electric water heater, you can cut your electricity rates in half with off-peak heating. It's efficient, too. And you can get up to $700 just for installing one.
I like what I'm hearing.
It's the smart and cool way to heat your water. Visit CassCountyElectric.com to learn more about saving with an electric water heater.
When it comes to shopping for your kiddos, you have to check out Tootsie's Children's Boutique. Whether you need outfits for daycare, family pictures, or loungewear, Tootsie's has everything you need for your little miss or little man sizes preemie to 7. I love shopping for my kiddos at Tootsie's, and I know you will too. With fall right around the corner, make sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram to see all their new arrivals. Shop in store at the shops at Blue 32 or online at TootsiesFargo.com. Tootsie's Children's Boutique, where style is born.
Hi, this is Chris with Express Employment Professionals. The annual sugar beet harvest is here, and we are now in the process of hiring over 1,300 people. And you could harvest yourself up to $3,200 in just 2 short weeks. Positions are filling fast, so pile on and call today, 888-791-6738. Express Employment Professionals. The annual sugar beet harvest is here, and we are now in the process of hiring over 1,300 people. And you could harvest yourself up to $3,200 in just 2 short weeks. Positions are filling fast, so pile on and call today, 888-791-6738.
Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
Cloudy conditions will continue throughout the evening hours tonight with a low in the low 60s, a 30% chance of some thunderstorms and a 6 to 15 mile per hour wind. Tomorrow, mid 80s and sunny. This weather update brought to you by FM Truck Sales, your one-stop shop for good, clean, quality used trucks, including over-the-road, dump trucks, farm trucks, and more. FM Truck Sales in Moorhead, check them out for good, clean trucks for any size job. Online, fmtrucksales.net.
If you went to eastern Montana, would you find family memories?
Would you spend days exploring the dinosaur trail? Roar! Would you uncover a fossilized tooth in the earth? Would you saddle up and explore state parks by horseback?
Would you learn about native traditions? Would you be forever changed?
Go find out. Discover miles of inspiration at visitmt.com/easternmontana.
Missed portions of today's show? Go to Bison1660.com to listen to the podcast or find us on Facebook and Twitter at Bison1660.
Welcome back into the Insiders. Got Charlie Goldsmith coming up at noon talking Cincinnati Bengals. Why are we talking Cincinnati Bengals? Because Cordell Volson's out there. And Cordell in a bit of a battle for that starting left guard spot, which is definitely something we'll be keeping our eyes on for the chance for Cordell to be protecting Joe Burrow, which I think would be pretty cool in year number 1. Also forgot to mention at 12:30 today, stay tuned for this, more from NDSU Media Days, our own Rob Hipp, the new voice of the Bison, who started yesterday and is loving life here so far at Radio FM Media. He caught up with Tamerick Williams, T-Mac, and we'll play that conversation for you at about 12:30. I came up with a list. So when you have NDSU Media Day, you have to submit a list to the SID, which is Ryan Peralt. He does a phenomenal job. And you submit a list of players and coaches. Well, I kind of came up with the list for Rob as well, since he was in transition, but he wanted to be there at Media Day. I'm like, I'm going to put Tamerick Williams on there. Because Tamerick came from SMU, came from Texas. Where's Rob coming from? Not from SMU, but from Sam Houston in Texas. So they kind of had that in common. It was a really fun conversation, so we'll play that one back for you just after 12:30 on the program. But right now, it's after 11:30 on a Tuesday, which means it's time to run the Missouri Valley Mix.
The Missouri Valley Mix. The Missouri State Bears.
And to talk about those Missouri State Bears, we go to the phone lines and bring on Wyatt Wheeler of the Springfield News Leader. Nice enough to give us some time on the show. Wyatt, how are things down there in Springfield as fall camp gets going?
Oh, no, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of hype with the Bears, of course. Kind of weird to have this much hype, but, you know, Bobby Petrino's changed things, so fans getting mad at ranking in a preseason poll when they used to be ranked 10th in the Valley, so just a couple years ago. So it's been kind of weird.
Yeah, you say it's kind of weird, but is it at all getting normal to have those expectations and to be like, yeah, this team actually has a chance of doing something? Because it's been like 3 years now where you've thought, oh, they have a chance of doing something when the year starts.
Yeah, it's just, top 10 rankings and everything. Haven't won a playoff game yet, being talked about as a national championship contender and everything. So, no, it's a little weird, but as they have coming back, they might have the best quarterback in the FCS. Some of the best receiver in the FCS, maybe. So, a lot of things just pointing to where it makes sense, but it's still a little strange if you think about it.
Yeah, a little bit different than what it used to be a little while ago. And by the way, for those that don't know, Missouri State ranked 8th in the coaches poll, the preseason top 25 from the AFCA FCS coaches poll, which I think Hero Sports and Stats FCS had them like 5th, I believe, in both of those, and they've been picked 3rd in the Valley in the preseason poll. So I get why some fans may be upset at that 8th ranking, but nice to be upset about that stuff and just instead of just not really caring about it like they have for many years. Who are the key pieces? I think we all know Jason Shelley, but can you give us a couple of kind of X-factor players that could play a big role we haven't heard about from Missouri State yet?
Yeah, of course, Jason Shelley, the quarterback, going to be what he did last year was best season in Missouri State history. You look at Tyrone Scott, the Central Michigan transfer from last year, led the league. He's a leading receiver coming back in the country. He's an All-American type receiver candidate. I'm really interested to see what the running game does. They got a Kansas State transfer to Cartier Wright. He's a big running back. He's able to run through you, and he's able to catch the ball out of the backfield as well. So between the tackles guy, faster than what you think. Really excited to see him. And of course, you got to replace Eric Johnson, who was drafted in the 5th round of the NFL draft. New defensive tackle. They got another Central Michigan guy transferring in, Tico Brown. When Missouri State's had a lot of success going to Central Michigan, their defensive coordinator was special teams coordinator at Central Michigan before he moved over, and he was responsible for recruiting Montre Braswell, Tyrone Scott, and now Tico Brown comes over, and that's going to be a big piece on the defensive line when you're trying to get one-on-one set up for a guy like Kevin Ellis, who could lead the Valley in sacks. And it's just, they have Braswell back as well. Braswell, Kyrie McDonald, one of the better secondary duos in the country. So, no, they got pieces all over the place. I think the one thing to watch is linebacker. They lose Tyler Wiltz to Pittsburgh in a transfer. How are guys going to step up there when there's been a little bit of turnover?
Mark, we were talking before we had you on, and obviously we know that Missouri State's had some good regular seasons in the past. Obviously a disappointing finish last year in the playoffs to UT Martin. What is that next step for Bobby Petrino and this coaching staff to get this team to be a playoff winning team and to get in maybe the quarters of the semifinals? What do they need to do to take that next step?
Yeah, they got past beating themselves throughout the regular season last year because there were just so many times where they would just let something go in that spring season, the fall right before that spring season, they had 3 games where they just turned the ball over at the stupidest time, and they got rid of that going into the spring. They were able to put together a playoff, just being able to get to the playoffs there. And then they're able to carry that into the fall, but they still had little things here and there. Whether you look in 3 of their 4 losses, they had muffed punts at the wrong time that turned into immediate points at the other end. I mean, if they don't muff a punt when they're up 10-0 against the Bison last year at the Fargo Dome, there's a chance they beat the number 1 team in the country. You win that, you're getting a bye at the very least. You look at, they lost to Youngstown State. There were dumb penalties. They turned the ball over 6 times against UT Martin, which included a muffed punt. So there's little things there that's just like, hey, if you get rid of those, you're a special team. And of course, offensive line play needs to come along as well. They have 4 returning starters there. They look bigger. They're going to have a little competition at the left guard spot right now. But I think that's going to move forward, and you're going to see more of a running game as well, especially with this Kansas State transfer, and then being able to move in some more play action stuff and deeper shots down the field.
And Wyatt Wheeler here joining us on the Missouri Valley Mix, talking about Missouri State. And Wyatt, last week I asked Kyle this question of the top 5 ranked teams in the preseason poll for the Valley, which are obviously NDSU, SDSU, Missouri State, Southern Illinois, and Northern Iowa. I said, give me one that you think could fall out of that top 5 or kind of fall short of expectations. I think, Kyle, you picked, was it Northern Iowa?
I picked Northern Iowa,
yeah. I said Missouri State, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I said, hey, this team still, and they've done it for a couple of years, but you don't have to go back that far where they really didn't have that much success. I love a lot of the players they have. I don't know about some of the depth at some of the key positions. And the schedule's kind of tough early. UT Martin and Central Arkansas should be wins in the first couple of weeks there for you, but at Arkansas, probably a loss in Fayetteville there. And then the conference season starts off with SDSU at home, at UND, which teams have trouble at UND, up on Grand Forks for some reason. Teams like SDSU lost there in the spring. NDSU had a close game there at the Alara Center as well. And then home against Southern Illinois and at Northern Iowa. That's a really tough slate to start off the season. Is there any worry about that tough opening schedule, and if things don't go right or aren't clicking right away, you lose 2 or 3 there in the early set?
Yeah, I think that's always kind of a worry in the Valley, unless you're North Dakota State, of course. But but yeah, of those 5 teams, I think you look at Missouri State's schedule, and I think that just plays a big deal into that. It's not often you get, Arkansas, and then right after that, you're playing South Dakota State. And it's in a year that North Dakota State's not on the Bears' schedule. That's a game that you circle and say, hey, if the Bears win this, they should have a chance. They should be able to win through and get and win a share of the Valley at the very least. But it's just so difficult there. I love what South Dakota State has coming back. I think there could be a strong argument that they could be the number 1 team in the league. Just based off of returning guys, and I'm not arguing against NDSU being number 1, but I think there's an argument that can be made there. And I really like the transfers that Northern Iowa got. Some big guys at wide receiver. You give your quarterback. I wasn't too impressed with a few more weapons. New offensive coordinator there that's had some success elsewhere. So I like what Northern Iowa, and that defense is always pretty good. Maybe Southern Illinois, even though they got some new transfers coming in, more FBS transfers than anybody else. and they bring back Nick Baker and everything. So no, I mean Missouri State's right in that conversation with those two to be the ones that fall off, and it's just I mean that's just kind of how we see it every year in this conference.
Another scheduling question for you. We just got the 2023 and 2024 schedules for everybody in the conference. Missouri State will have NDSU on the schedule next year. It'll be the second game of that conference. They start out at Southern Illinois, then home against NDSU. Another tough start to a conference season in 2023. No Indiana State, UND, or USD in 2023 or 2024. How do you feel that schedule worked out, and what have you heard from fans about that?
Yeah, I think it's not the worst. I mean, you still get Western Illinois. I think we're all going to put Murray State in that conversation at the bottom as well as teams that you would like to have on your schedule. So you get Western Illinois, you get Murray State. I think, those are three teams that the Bears beat last year. So I think that's I think they're a little disappointed there. I like South Dakota's doing. I just think they've been so young and they've been getting better and better. At least you're cutting out a North Dakota trip to go up there. So I don't think it's the worst. You look at South Dakota State and what they lose out on the next 3 years. I don't think anybody else has a right to complain when you see what the Jackrabbits are going to have to face.
We pointed out that Indiana State's definitely the big winner in that. They don't have Missouri State, NDSU, or SDSU for those 2 years in 2023 and 2024. Who are the two teams?
Still suck.
Yeah, well, there's ever a time for them not to, right? You said it, not me. Who are the two teams on Missouri State's conference schedule that are like the keep games for every year? Do you know?
I would assume it'd be Southern Illinois, and then maybe Murray State now, just because of the region, just because it's a little bit regional. I guess you could drive there, but I don't know how you guys are going to fly into there. That confused me. I don't know what
Director of Ops problem, not mine.
I do not know where an airport is around Murray, Kentucky. I don't know if they have airplanes in Murray, Kentucky.
They'll figure it out. There may be a little bit of a bus trip there, but one last question for me, and it's a little bit of a change of topic. But we had talked earlier. Obviously, college football realignment was a big thing, and Missouri State kind of came up as a school that would jump at the chance to go into a FBS conference if given the opportunity. I know it's kind of calmed down now, at least it seems for the time being. But is that still the case? Do you think Missouri State is ready, and do they want to move up if possible?
I don't know about that now, just seeing things calm down at the moment. Of course, the expenses, just how much those would go up. Just if you were to get in the Sun Belt, I don't think they have an interest in Conference USA, but you're able to get in the Sun Belt. I mean, you're going to the East Coast, but of course, it's still that regional stuff still matters at this level for a school like Missouri State, where you're having to travel with your different lower team, with your non-revenue teams and everything. So I think that's calmed down a little bit. They really need to upgrade some football facilities to make that more of a possibility. Whether it's they really want to do about a $25 million south end zone project at the stadium where they get coaches' offices and stuff, and then hopefully, they hope eventually it turns into an indoor practice facility somewhere on campus. So I think they still have a little bit of work to do. There's not very many schools in the Valley that's ready like Missouri State, especially when you look money-wise and stuff. But possibility in the future, I don't think it's happening anytime soon. But that could also happen. That could also change in the next 24 hours with the way we've seen this thing happen.
I've got the Murray-Callaway County Airport or a Hudson Heliport. I think the Heliport's off the list. Can't do that one. So it looks like the Murray-Callaway County Airport. If we can't get into that smaller one, Nashville is the next closest.
Oh, man.
So maybe flying into Nashville.
That's a trek. So I enjoy seeing the North Dakota State people angry that they're in the league now. It makes me laugh. And Murray, Kentucky's anger at anything also makes me laugh. They only have a Dairy Queen in that town.
Hey, that's something. Dairy Queen.
And it's closed like 3 months out of the year, so I don't know what's going on there.
Goodness gracious. All we care is if their football team can not be the doormat of the conference. But you're right. A lot of people in Fargo were not too pleased about that, including the former president of the university was not too pleased they got added into the conference. We're always pleased, though, to talk to Wyatt Wheeler, Springfield news leader on the Missouri Valley Mix. Wyatt, always appreciate it. I'll make sure I send my fantasy football questions on the Chiefs to Art Haynes here in the next couple of days.
Oh, yeah. I hope all the Chiefs suck, and that's all that I care about.
Same. There you go. Thanks, Wyatt.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
There goes Wyatt Wheeler, Springfield news leader on the Missouri Valley Mix, which is brought to you each and every Tuesday by Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty. When it's time to be moved, Todd Cattermas is here to assist you with all your real estate needs. Call 701-371-4234 or stop by 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo. Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty, moving the herd, one home at a time. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 1, and then get you ready for hour number 2, including a conversation on Cordell Volson in the second hour of the show next.
We all want to be part of a winning team, right? Hi, this is Marcus with Steamatic, and I am very proud of our team. Industry experts have voted Steamatic the best method of cleaning with our patented steam cleaning process, our 24-hour service, and highly trained technicians. We do it all from carpet cleaning, air duct cleaning, fire and water damage restoration, and remember, Bison fanatics choose Steamatic.
Steamatic, call 232-4707.
Don't be one of those businesses that lose thousands of dollars every year with travel mistakes and mishaps. Have you experienced corporate trips that turn into nightmares? Save time and money and see how easy corporate travel planning really can be when you work directly with the experts at Travel Travel. Find out how Travel Travel can streamline your travel program during a free corporate travel expo Wednesday, August 17th from 9 to noon at the Delta Hotel by Marriott. To reserve your free seat, call 701-492-5000.
Hey, Justin, what's this I hear about getting invoice pricing on all new 2022 Jeep Gladiators and Jeep Renegades at Corwin Jeep?
Yes, you got that right. We have the Make This the Summer event going on where you pay what we pay and get invoice pricing on brand new 2022 Jeep Renegades and Gladiators. And that's not all. New Jeeps come with Jeep Wave, our 36-month free service plan.
What if I'm looking for something from Ram? Got any truck specials?
Corwin Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the region's largest selection of new trucks in stock and ready for immediate delivery. And now you can save up to $6,500 off MSRP on new Ram trucks during the Make This the Summer event at Corwin Ram.
Wow, I thought the days of discounts like that were over.
Yeah, $6,500 off MSRP. It's crazy. I don't remember when we had this great of an incentive. Save up to $6,500 off MSRP on new Ram trucks. A deal like this won't last long. Hurry into Corwin Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram now for the best selection and save up to $6,500 off MSRP. Shop online, CorwinAuto.com.
With over 900 vehicles in stock, Corwin Auto has you covered.
Looking for better fuel economy?
We have it with hybrids and electric vehicles.
Need more room for that growing family?
We have it. Upgrade to a van, SUV, or crossover.
Need more horsepower to work and play harder?
We have the biggest selection of new and used trucks in the area. Get exactly what you are looking for and don't settle when you can shop over 900 vehicles on the lot and ready for immediate delivery. Corwin Auto has you covered. Shop online, CorwinAuto.com.
When it's time to find a realtor, word of mouth is important, and Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty is a name Bison Nation says often. Todd has helped everyone from coaches and administrators to broadcasters and former players and their families buy homes in the FM area. So many in Bison Nation trust Todd to buy and sell their homes, and you can too. Call Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty today or visit him in person at 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo. Todd is a proud partner and the preferred realtor of NDSU Athletics. Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty, moving the herd one home at a time.
Altair Clinic has expanded. We are offering primary care services for your entire family, from pediatrics to adults. Hi, this is Dr. Tammy from Altair Clinic. We understand the importance of relationships. One of the most important relationships is between you and your medical provider. Altair Clinic has expanded to provide primary care services for your entire family. We offer care for newborns to teens, men and women, weight management, along with chronic disease care. Our staff is dedicated to provide the best treatment in a professional and personalized way. Call Altair to book your appointment today Day.
The second annual El Zagel 9 Holes in 1 Challenge. Sunday, August 28th. You could win cash prizes from Nearson Chevrolet Cadillac, Gateway Chevrolet Cadillac, Stutzman Harley Davidson, RDO Moorhead, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Camping World, Fargo Force Hockey, Town and Country Credit Union, Buffalo Wild Wings. The hole-in-one challenge is on all 9 holes, plus cash prizes for closest to the pin and putting. It's the second annual 9 Holes in 1 Challenge to help all El Zagel. Register now at e-z-holein1.com.
Today is National Rum Day, and you can't celebrate National Rum Day without mojitos. Order an ice-cold minty mojito for $4 at Twin Peaks. And let's cheers to this essential holiday. Pair that mojito with Twin Peaks' latest new dish on their menu, the Chicken Street Corn Salad. The new edition features iceberg lettuce, charred corn, lentils, billionaire's bacon, roasted jalapenos, parmesan, pico de gallo, green onions, cilantro, tortilla strips, creamy lime vinaigrette, and chili lime salts. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
This summer, I'm planning to make memories for a lifetime. Sightseeing, family adventures, long weekends, and the activities I love most. I know my memories will be clear because my vision is vivid thanks to LASIK from Vance Thompson Vision. All the summer activities I love are better with LASIK because I'm free to enjoy life and see the bright, beautiful colors. To make this your best summer yet, visit VanceThompsonVision.com to set up your free LASIK consultation.
I am all about summer.
Oh, me too, because summer is all the things.
All sunshine.
All good times.
All vacay.
And this summer, it's all at Mall of America.
For little ones, there's Crayola Experience with all those hands-on activities.
All-day family fun on Nickelodeon Universe rides.
Take an all-in staycation at Radisson Blu Mall of America, conveniently connected to the mall.
It's all birthday, all party, all summer, because the mall's turning 30.
mallofamerica.com/birthday.
All summer long.
The construction is almost done at the Gateway Clearance Center, and the construction sale is going strong. No negotiations necessary, and payments starting as low as $99 a month. That's right, payments starting at just $99 a month at the Gateway Clearance Center, with a great selection of clean used cars, trucks, and SUVs. And right now, every vehicle is sale priced. Enjoy extra discounts for the construction sale going on now at Gateway Clearance Center on South University Drive in Fargo, or online at fmclearancecenter.com.
KQWB, West Fargo, Fargo Moorhead, and KPFX, HD3 Kindred, Bison 1660. Powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
And here's what you need to know.
NFL media reports that New England Patriots cornerback Joejuan Williams has suffered a season-ending shoulder injury. Today's joint practice between the Patriots and the Carolina Panthers featured multiple fights that saw players from both teams get kicked out of the joint practice.
It's already been addressed.
All right. Anyway, ESPN reports that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are signing linebacker Carl Nassib to a one-year deal. Nassib had spent the past 2 seasons with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Miami Dolphins placed tight end Adam Shaheen on season-ending injury reserve. The Dolphins traded Shaheen to Houston last week, only to have Shaheen not pass his physical, nullifying the deal. And Sports Business Journal reports Amazon's Thursday Night Football package will have its audience measured by Nielsen ratings. It's the first time that Nielsen will be measuring viewership for a streaming service. I'm Isaac Lowenkron.
You've got the insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
That's what living is. The 6 inches in front of your face.
Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proseed. Need seed? Think Proseed. Now, here are the Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders. The Insiders.
Insiders.
The Insiders.
Andy Rickoff and Bison great Kyle Emanuel.
In here with you for hour number 2 on a Tuesday, 18 days away from kickoff. Can't get here soon enough, although a couple more days. We got a few things to, a few I's to dot, a few T's to cross to get ready. I'm sure it's the same thing on the TV side, Kyle. You guys had any of your production meetings, Mr. Color Analyst?
We've had a couple.
There you go.
And we're going to have more to come. So, yeah,
I bet.
there's always something to do. Yeah, it's like planning a wedding, last-minute stuff to do here and there, especially for myself personally. So, got to throw a honeymoon in there, too, for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, lots to do before this football season, but we're excited for it, to say the least.
Darn right. And raising another national championship banner there on September the 3rd for the home opener against Drake. So make sure you get your tickets for that game and get out there and support the Bison. I'd like to say it's not every year you're raising a national championship banner, but it's been close to every year we're raising one. I might have to add another one because last time I checked, it was pretty full, the one that was hanging up there inside the Fargo.
You have to get a new one, some smaller print, smaller font size for sure.
Exactly. Or just add a second one and keep on adding more banners. That's what they do at NDSU. What they also do is they send players to the pros. A lot of pro Bison. Think of just the last couple of years, Trey Lance, Carson Wentz, Easton Stick, whole bunch of other ones, and now this last year, Kyle Emanuel sort of counts. Mike, I'll make sure to point him out. I didn't want to.
It was a long time ago.
A long time ago, before they really even had pads. There's like those leather helmet days. But recently, there's been a couple other ones, and Christian Watson and Cordell Volson being drafted in this last NFL draft. And let's catch up with what's happening out in Cincinnati right now with a first-time guest on the phone lines for us on the Epic Companies hotline. First-time guest, Charlie Goldsmith. It's the Gong as a first-time guest, of course. Cincinnati Enquirer, nice enough to give us some time as a first-time guest. So, Charlie, welcome on in. Appreciate you joining us here a little bit.
And I appreciate the Gong. It's nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you as well. We're talking with you because Cordell Volson's a Bengal. He's out there in Cincinnati, and we knew Cincy needed some help on the offensive line, and that seemed like a pretty good match when he was drafted by the Bengals back during the NFL draft. How has he fit in so far, and is he a crowd favorite? It seems like on Twitter he's a fan favorite, but really is he?
Well, yesterday was a massive turning point in Cordell Volson's status on the team. For the first time yesterday, when the Bengals line was fully healthy, Volson was the guy getting first-team reps at left guard. He really showed great effort, and effort is the first thing that everyone loves about him. His intangibles, his IQ, the way he executes exactly what the coaching staff is looking for. That's led to him right now to planning on the depth chart. Trevor Lawrence's former left tackle at Clemson, someone who was a 5-star recruit. Volson has just outplayed him, the former second-round pick, and now he's getting rewarded with more opportunities.
That's great to hear. That's awesome to hear that he's getting more of those opportunities. And then basically, is it just left guard they're looking at him at right now? Is that the one spot?
Exactly. I mean, of course, he could play some right guard as well, but they drafted him exclusively to play guard, not tackle. You know, maybe unless an emergency situation happens and some of his tackle experience could kick back in, but they drafted him as a guard for sure.
I wanted to ask you about, you brought him up, Jackson Carmen, the guy that Cordell is competing with, the second-year guy out of Clemson, and a Cincinnati native, if I'm reading this correctly. How obviously, you just said Cordell's kind of jumped over him. How has his camp gone? Has there been some injuries, or what has his status been like, and what has it been that Cordell's done so much better to kind of jump him on the depth chart?
Yeah, when the Bengals drafted Volson on the third day of the draft, the offensive line coach laid out the scene, and he was asked to compare him. And he said Carmen's the guy who clearly is the more, he said this, physically and athletically impressive player. And he even said that Volson doesn't have any one standout skill. But then Pollock went on a whole soliloquy about how intangibles and consistency are what matter most on the line, and how, this is a direct quote, Volson had a little bit of you-know-what in the back of his neck. And that certainly helped him make a big jump. Carmen, on the other hand, you know, he had 3 plays in the preseason game where he just looked lost. To be honest, his back was facing the line of scrimmage after whiffing on blocks, and the Bengals need more consistency from him. You know, he showed up to training camp last year out of weight. They benched him 2 or 3 times. They've given him every single opportunity, and so far, you know, it's left the door open for guys like Volson to break through.
Great to hear that he's having that level of success here so far. How has he gotten along? You always kind of wonder with a 4th-round pick, do they fit in right away? They're not that guy that's going to be given as many opportunities because he's not a 1st or a 2nd-round pick. But how does he fit in with Joe Burrow, fit in with the fan base? It seems like it's been a really good fit.
Yeah, you know, everyone, it's easy to pull from someone like that for someone like that, someone who, you know, as I've said, the coach's defining trait they see in him is his motor and his effort. You know, we haven't seen him a ton on the practice field with Joe Burrow because Burrow had missed the previous 3 weeks after getting his appendix removed. The fan base, you know, he's one of several players on the offensive line who they're looking forward to see this season. The Bengals fans are certainly looking for more offensive linemen to root for after the unit was awful last season, but then they completely overhauled it over the last 6-7 months. So overall, you know, again, it seems to be good impressions.
And Charlie Goldsmith here with us on the Epic Companies hotline. Bengals season outlook. Obviously, when you go to the Super Bowl the year before, expectations are sky high. They're as high as they could possibly be. But not many people saw a Super Bowl run last year. It felt like the whole time through the playoffs, like, the Bengals are probably a year ahead of schedule, and then they just kept winning all the way to the Super Bowl there against the Rams. Obviously, that means expectations should be high again this year. What's the outlook on the team overall?
When the Bengals built this whole thing, really starting in 2019 when they hired head coach Zach Taylor, they made a point and they really valued the opportunity to, in the draft, guys who had consistently competed for championships at the college level, guys like Burrow, Chase, T. Higgins, Jonah Williams, a lot of Ohio State guys, the guys I mentioned earlier from schools like Clemson, LSU, Alabama. And then in free agency, they went out and signed a lot of guys who had played for the Saints, the Steelers, the Cowboys. So it's a team full of people who know what it takes and who know what it's like to enter the season with championship expectations. And that mindset really, I think, helped them arrive ahead of schedule last season because it was a bunch of players who had been there before at some level. And now, since they return virtually almost every single starter or are adding more experienced veterans who, in most cases, are better than the guys they're replacing, it's a team across the board of players with Super Bowl expectations and Super Bowl experience as well.
Charlie, I think one of the things that was well documented and well covered from the media was Joe Burrow and the fact that he wasn't protected very well. He was sacked a lot, especially in that playoff run. Was there one thing along that offensive line, or did it have something to do with Burrow being a rookie that kind of led to his issues getting sacked? And what do you think this offensive line has to do this year to kind of be better, to better protect him?
You can look what happened in the Super Bowl against the Rams, and actually the San Francisco 49ers, in another really tough, slow start for the offense, did the exact same thing. And I could point to different games like the Bears and the Raiders where something very similar happened as well. They used a defensive alignment with the whole Brandon Staley, Vic Fangio type defense that we all talk about a lot that really isolated one-on-one matchups in the offensive line. And the Bengals' offensive linemen were not equipped to win those matchups. Look at the guys they started last year. Their starting left guard currently doesn't have a job. Their starting center currently doesn't have a job. Their starting right guard throughout the entire playoff is now maybe the fourth guard in the pecking order for the entire Bengals offensive line depth chart. He has slid down massively. And their starting right tackle, Riley Reif, the guy who had to sign a prove-it deal with the Steelers or with the Bears for 1 year, $2 million plus incentives. The Bears have the worst offensive line in the league, and they're not even guaranteeing him a starting spot. So they've rehauled that entire group and spent a lot of money to get, the starting right tackle for the Cowboys, the starting right guard for the Buccaneers, the starting center from the Miami Dolphins, and they're confident in who they have at left tackle as well. And they feel like with the improvements they've made, they can win more one-on-one matchups. And that, excitingly for the Bengals, completely changes what they can run and the type of plays they can have in the playbook and how they can manage different situations more aggressively.
And Charlie Goldsmith with us covering the Cincinnati Bengals for the Inquirer out there. You can follow him on Twitter like I do, at CharlieG_. And find the latest stuff on Cordell Volson, like the fact that he's taken reps with the first team now. He is past Jackson Carmen, at least for the time being, and isn't guaranteed it's going to stay that way. But right now, taking those first team reps for the Bengals. Cincinnati, that means I would guess Cordell's going to be playing at least a couple of series in this next preseason game to get an idea of what Coach Taylor wants to do with him and continuing this battle in the preseason?
It's absolutely a battle. And so what's going to be fascinating now is how the last preseason game last week impacted what the snap alignment looks like this week. So last week, Jackson Carmen played the entire first half and Cordell Volson played the entire second half. The big question now, and something they haven't given us an answer to yet, but something, frankly, I would expect to happen based on the reps we've seen Cordell Volson take in practice, is whether Cordell Volson will get more opportunities with that first unit to show what he can do against better competition. And, he's getting that opportunity in practice. The next step is to get that opportunity in the game, and we'll learn a lot based off who plays when and against whom between Carmen and Cordell Volson this weekend in New York.
Charlie, I'm curious your thoughts on the AFC North. I think this is an interesting division. Obviously, no Ben Roethlisberger for the Steelers, first time in a long time. The Browns have the whole Deshaun Watson situation going on. The Ravens have Lamar Jackson and contract talks and what's going to happen there. What's your outlook on this AFC North? And I mean, I think you'd assume maybe it's the Bengals based on what they did last year. But how do you see this division playing out?
I'm really high on the Bengals, and I'm really high on the Ravens, and I see those teams in a tier of their own almost. Obviously, the Browns are in the situation they're in, and we don't know how many games they're going to get from their starting quarterback. It's also a weak receiver group, an offensive line that's not quite as good as it's been in recent years, and a defense that's kind of had some turnover at some really key spots. The Steelers as well with the fluid quarterback situation. Their pass rush, I don't think, is as deep as it was in previous years. It's a defense that's not as deep to withstand injuries as it's been in previous seasons. That leaves the Bengals, who we've discussed, and the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson is really primed for a bounce-back season. I really like Mark Andrews and how they've turned him into the focal point of the offense, and I think they have the deepest secondary in football. So I think you'll see Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, go toe-for-toe and battle back and forth, and that's going to create some really exciting matchups.
By the way, we have a prediction board inside our studio, Charlie, and I make random predictions that I'm usually way off because I am kind of the overreaction guy, as some fans tend to be. But I have a prediction board in the back that I put a prediction on there at the end of the Super Bowl, right after the Super Bowl is done, that Joe Burrow will be the MVP of the 2022 season. Do we think in that? What level of possibility would you give that?
Well, last year, Joe Burrow led the NFL in yards per attempt, and he led the NFL in completion percentage. So that means last year, he was the most explosive and most efficient quarterback in football. And this year, now we will be playing with a better offensive line in front of him, that the number one benefit of that is there's more time and there's more opportunity for Burrow to create more unscripted, explosive plays. Burrow's even more set up for success this year than he was last year, with what I think is the best skill position group in football, and as I mentioned, an offensive line that's going to give him more margin for error to take more chances and be even better.
I think I know your answer is going to be for this, but I'll ask it anyway. You're an NFL GM, and they say you can either start your franchise with Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow. Who are you taking?
I'm taking Joe. Like, you look at the traits I really value from a quarterback. The top things I look at are explosive playmaking ability, accuracy outside the pocket, pocket awareness, pre-snap adjustments. I think those are quite literally Joe Burrow's biggest strengths. Lamar Jackson's very good at so many of those as well. He's a great quarterback, and obviously he adds the running element. He adds the Bengals coaches call them headaches that you don't see anywhere else across the league. But I think there's a reason the Bengals were the most explosive offense in football this season, and I think Joe Burrow's biggest strength create an environment where an offense can become more dynamic than most.
What if I threw Josh Allen in there?
I take Allen over Burrow. I think Allen is a more explosive quarterback. I think he's a lead in the play-action game, and they have really exciting ways to use that or the spread offense to create really exciting mismatches for deep ball opportunities. Plus, you have Allen's power and his physicality as well, so I would take Josh Allen over.
Yeah, a little bit less of an injury history, I guess, if you really want to use the word history with Joe Burrow on that one. But still a very good quarterback in Joe Burrow. The list of quarterbacks you take over him right now, it's dwindling by the year and by the week. It's getting smaller and smaller. Charlie, really appreciate having you on. This was great. Hopefully we can catch up with you again as hopefully Cordell Volson is starting regular season games and this path continues for him. But appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
There you go. Charlie Goldsmith, Cincinnati Enquirer, a first-time guest that was nice enough to give us some time. And basically, I'm a football genius for picking Joe Burrow as the MVP this year.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm going with.
He's feeding your ego.
Yep, he basically was right there with me, lockstep.
He was
most efficient and explosive.
Well, yeah, it's not like that was that bold of a prediction by you. A guy was his second year last year takes his team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it wasn't that.
The MVP
he was
this next.
one of
There's
the best
a lot of good
quarterbacks.
There's a lot of good players.
There is. Well, the big thing that would help that obviously is if the Bengals can make another deep playoff run, right? I mean,
win their division, regular season,
have a really good regular season. Because if not, so basically you're saying you agree with Charlie. The Bengals probably going to win the AFC North.
I think the Steelers are trying to figure out who they are at quarterback, which is never a good spot to be going into a year. I still like them. Tomlin's a great coach. They'll find the way to win
a losing record.
Games. Yeah, they'll find ways to win games, but I don't think they're as strong as they've been in years past. And the Ravens are very good. That's a tough one. Who knows what's happening with Cleveland? I still think Deshaun Watson is going to be suspended for an entire year. Then you're talking about Jacoby Brissett currently as the quarterback. Those are your division foes, so I think you got a great chance at your division. And their schedule is tough because they're a division champion from a year ago, but I don't think it's ungodly tough out there. Like you said, Joe Burrow's got more time to throw.
Yeah.
Why not?
I like this division. I think like I said, I think it's so interesting because if you go just based off quarterbacks and how you feel about that, yeah, it's the Ravens and the Bengals by far. But it's hard to count out the Steelers for me. Like I just said, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record there. I know they have some questions at quarterback, and I don't think, like if you ask me, I don't think they're going to win the division, but I wouldn't be surprised if they give some people fits. Like they've owned that division for a long time, not as much recently, but they've been very good for such a long time. I wouldn't be shocked to see them give some people some fits, maybe win some games that you don't expect. I think the Browns are talented too. Now, I don't think they're going to win the division with Jacoby Brissett. I think he's a capable backup. I don't know if he's a guy that's going to take you in a deep playoff run. But I think Cleveland's had a lot of talent for a long time. I think that's a good roster there as well. So I like this division. I think it's going to be fun to see how this one plays out.
I will say they catch the Steelers week 1. So maybe they don't have some things figured out. Week 1, Bengals at home against Pittsburgh. I think a chance for a win early on. And the Steelers are probably figuring some things out on offense. I think they'll be fine. The Steelers will probably still win you 8-9 games. Maybe be a fringe playoff team, but I don't know if they'll win that division. Might have misspoke a little bit because the back half of their schedule is brutal. But they have a great chance they have a good start, and then you're playing well going into those games. December 4th, so December on, at home against the Chiefs, at home against the Browns. Maybe by then Deshaun Watson's playing. Again, I don't think he will be, but who knows. Then you're at Tampa, at New England in December 24th. That's probably a snowy game in New England against Bill Belichick, who schemes things up great. Home against the Bills. Home against the Ravens.
Oof.
That's your final 6. Chiefs, Browns, Bucks, Patriots, Bills, Ravens.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Tough end. If they make it through that, though, Joe Burrow's the MVP. It's going to happen. Voters love the story.
You have money on that one, too?
I don't yet, but I might. Because he's such a cool character, too. He's great off the field, that persona. Voters will love, they'll eat it up for a couple of years. And then if he wins it and they win enough games, he'll become the villain eventually. That's what we do.
I'm trying to think who I would pick for MVP.
Josh Allen's the favorite.
Yeah, Josh Allen's the easy.
And he hasn't been the MVP yet.
I think he's the easy pick. Maybe just for that fact. What do you think? Where do you think Aaron Rodgers ends up? He's 2-time MVP.
Probably the top 3 because they'll be one of the top teams in the NFC again.
Even without, not according to Colin Cowherd. We just saw that. There.
I was going to bring that up a little bit later.
Not even in the top 10.
Yeah, darn right.
So I don't know. I mean, I think preseason before the season starts, Josh Allen I think is a clear favorite. I think you always got to throw Patrick Mahomes in there, right?
This could be an interesting year for Mahomes without Tyreek Hill. If they're good again, you've got to give it to him, right?
Right. I think he might get more votes just to the fact he did it again, and now he doesn't have Tyreek Hill. Like he still has weapons there, like they always do. Andy Reid always finds someone. Like they always have some speedster. They're like, oh, where did this? Like that was Tyreek Hill for a while. Like where did this guy come from? I remember I was playing against him. I was like, where did this guy come from? Like this dude's a freak, and still have Travis Kelce. They still have some weapons there. That you always have Andy Reid.
I don't know if it's a dark horse, but the guy we haven't mentioned I think is a little bit of a dark horse because their team hasn't been to the playoffs and hasn't had the success, but he's phenomenal. Your old team. Justin Herbert. I think he's going to have a great chance because even the years where they don't make the playoffs or the games they lose, they're like, Herbert was just phenomenal in that game. He's crazy. And
Brandon Staley loves going for it on 4th down, deep in his own end zone, or own end. We saw that a couple times last year. So it's going to be an offense that tries to stay on the field as much as possible. And it's always it's kind of, to me, it's a quarterback award. It is, but it's which quarterback is playing well and his team is also up there at the end. That's going to be the biggest factor, and I think that's for the Chargers. If you win the AFC West, a division that's been dominated by the Chiefs for a long time, trust me, I know. If you win the AFC West, Justin Herbert could be right there.
No doubt about it, but they got to win some games, and if they do, it probably will be up in that voting. Charlie Goldsmith, they're nice enough to give us some time on the Epic Companies hotline, like all of our guests do. The Epic Companies hotline brought to you, of course, by Epic Companies, the area's premier real estate investing and development firm, online at epiccomaniesnd.com. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Yes, Colin Cowherd just had his first herd hierarchy. Couple of interesting teams that were or were not on that top 10. We'll go over that next.
Champions, play here. Your home for the Thundering Herd. Bison 1660.
Remember checking the markets back in the day? If you go way back, they moved about a nickel a year. It was up a penny, the word spread through party lines, and everybody revved up their single axes with no hoist and motored to town. Then came the 70s with a Russian grain deal, tandems and limit moves on the grains, 30 cents beans. The radio was just starting to have closes, and sometimes the 6 o'clock news had markets. Nowadays, almost everyone has semi, and you have text alerts from your favorite market analysis. Memories. Need seed, think proceed.
Businesses should know that Consolidated Communications has the only data center in the FM area that is SOC 2 certified. That means Consolidated has tested reliable systems in place to protect your valuable data. That's more important than ever with today's security concerns. Many business insurance companies require SOC certification at data storage facilities. You should work with a local data center that is SOC 2 certified. For scalable, cost-effective data center solutions for your changing business needs, go to consolidated.com/data center.
Dakota Refrigeration has been helping the Bison succeed behind the scenes. From their training room to their dining room, from milk to medicine, from ice to ice cream, Dakota Refrigeration has been serving Minnesota, Montana, and the Dakotas for over 4 decades. Locally owned and operated since 1974, Dakota Refrigeration is a full-service source for your refrigeration, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and electrical needs. Dakota Refrigeration, located in Fargo, Bismarck, and Minot.
With over 900 vehicles in stock, Corwin Auto has you covered.
Looking for better fuel economy?
We have it with hybrids and electric vehicles.
Need more room for that growing family?
We have it. Upgrade to a van, SUV, or crossover.
Need more horsepower to work and play harder?
We have the biggest selection of new and used trucks in the area. Get exactly what you are looking for and don't settle when you can shop over 900 vehicles on the lot and ready for immediate delivery. Corwin Auto has you covered. Shop online, corwinauto.com.
Tyrone Ethanol, the ethanol plant located in Castleton, North Dakota, is accepting applications for a process operator. Work 4 days on, 4 days off, night and day swing shifts. Applicant must have a general understanding of process and operating procedures and a willingness to learn procedures for the ethanol industry. Tyrone Ethanol offers on-the-job training and an excellent benefits program. Email your resume to rcarter@tyrone.ethanol.com or apply in person at 3549 153rd Avenue Southeast in Castleton, North Dakota.
Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
Mostly sunny skies out there, but a good chance of some thunderstorms. 40% chance to be precise. 82 degrees for a high. Tonight, some more clouds will roll in. We will cool down into the low 60s, and that chance of thunderstorms decreases down to 30%. This weather update brought to you by FM Truck Sales. If you're looking for good, clean work trucks for any size job, check out FM Truck Sales in Moorhead. FM Truck Sales is locally owned with a great staff. Check them out at fmtrucksales.net.
From the court to the field and everywhere in between. Your home for NDSU athletics. Bison 1660.
Welcome back in. It is the Insiders on Bison 1660. You know it's getting close to football season when start having conversations with some of our corporate game week sponsors. Conversation with some great folks over at Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, who are going to be one of our corporate game week sponsors this year for one of our games. Actually, it's for the season opener. Conversation with some of them, talking about when they want to do some interviews and come on the show, which is going to be phenomenal. We got Call Your Shot coming back. So many other contests and different ways for all of you listeners to win. One of those will be Call Your Shot. We'll announce some more ones a little bit later on, but Homewood Suites has been a great partner with us the last couple of years on Call Your Shot. Your chance to win a free night stay at Homewood Suites here in Fargo just by predicting the score of NDSU football. That is finalized, so that will be coming back every Friday on our Facebook page, Bison 1660 on Facebook. Before every game for NDSU, that Friday before, you can go onto our Facebook page and guess the winning score, the final score of NDSU's game that Saturday, that next day, and whoever guesses the score closest or correctly first will win a free night stay courtesy of Homewood Suites. So we got that going. We got a whole bunch of other things. We got yard signs. Kyle's got his yard sign here in the studio. He's not going to forget it. And a whole bunch of stuff. Plus, Sickies every Thursday during the football season. Week 1, it's going to be on a Wednesday. After that, every Thursday during the football season, back out at Sickies with prizes, giveaways, different things for you, and, of course, great people on site. We'll probably have Kyle back out. You get food from it. You like food out at Sickies.
Yeah, I would love to.
Mm-hmm.
Always enjoy going
We'll
there.
have you do the Bison Pick'ems again.
Anytime you guys are going to feed me, I'll show up. Most times.
You can rip apart my top 15.
You know what we can feed Kyle?
What?
Jalapeno stuffed olives.
Yes. That was brought to one of the shows. Jeff Colhane and Cole Jurek were not a fan of the jalapeno stuffed olives from our good friend Steve Zask.
I'm not a huge fan of the hot, spicy food, but I would give it a shot. I like olives.
See, I don't like olives.
Oh, I do.
I still gave it a shot. I kind of liked them a little bit.
I was liking them.
Yeah, I finished
eating them during the football season in studio.
Yeah, I finished that first jar that Steve brought out, and then he brought us a couple more. He brought those ones in studio for guys like Micah to enjoy, but I didn't mind them one bit. So we'll be back out there at the newer location for Sickies during the football season on Thursdays. A whole bunch of other live outings at different places across Fargo and West Fargo and Moorhead area here with our Bison Road Tour, which starts up next week. So looking forward to seeing Bison Nation out there. And we'll have yard signs. We'll have stuff to give away if you show up to some of these different events and different shows on location. Herd Hierarchy, Colin Cowherd, our good buddy, who is very high on the Minnesota Vikings, has said that his favorite bet of the year is Week 1, Vikings beating the Packers, who are currently 2-point underdogs. The Vikings are at home in that game, last I saw. And then he's also predicted the Vikings to be a 14-3 operation this year. He is very high on Kevin O'Connell and his relationship with Kirk Cousins. Colin does his herd hierarchy, which I guess is like his top 10, kind of weak because I do a top 15 for the FCS, but whatever, Colin. But he did the herd hierarchy first edition, preseason edition today. Number 10 team was the Vikings. I thought that was a little underseated. The fact that he thinks they're going to be 14-3 and they're the 10th best team.
That's true.
You're going to have 9 teams better than 14-3.
5.
Yeah, just saying. Sound the gather horn.
I'm out.
There
See you
was
later.
one team that was not on that list. That would be the Green Bay Packers. We're not on the top 10. I pointed to the screen. You looked at it, then you looked back at me, and I mouthed Green Bay to you.
Yeah.
And you looked back, you're like, ooh, not on there. Yeah, a little surprise from Colin on that
Little
one.
surprise, but it makes sense. If you're Colin Cowherd and you pick the Vikings to go 14-3, can you really put the Packers ahead of them?
Right.
Then you're saying, the Packers are going to go 15-2 or whatever.
Or
You know what I mean?
14-3 at least.
Yeah, or at least tie them 14-3. If you're picking the Vikings to win that division, I guess it makes sense. We shouldn't be shocked.
Shouldn't be shocked. But he's high on the Vikings. We get some fans out there in the national media, which isn't a good thing. The Vikings, all Minnesota sports teams are better when they fly under the radar. Every single one of them.
You think so?
Yeah, usually.
Timberwolves this last season.
Yeah.
Under the radar.
And now this year, I think they got the schedule's about to be announced from the NBA, or it has been announced. They're going to get more primetime games. The Timberwolves only had one primetime game or nationally televised game last year, I think. Now they're probably going to have like 6 or 7, and I hope they do really well. Rudy Gobert's a great addition. People think they could finish 4th or 5th, but now you got expectations. Not a good spot for a Minnesota team.
You got to put expectations on you at some point.
At some point.
You got to handle the pressure. We were talking about pressure earlier on in the show with kickers. Like, you got to be able to handle that. So, like, that's how you take that next step.
Vikings kickers definitely haven't handled pressure.
I am very interested to see how the Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns whole thing works out.
Mhm.
I think it can. I'm gonna give you a little hope there. Not
think
that
it
I'm a
can
great
too.
NBA mind, because
Offensively, defensively is
Right.
where I think Rudy Gobert is great. He'll block all the shots, but Cat now has to guard more on the perimeter,
Right.
which is a big problem.
You might have to guard one of those kind of in between fours. That's more of a 3.
Mhm.
One of the quicker, tall guy but quicker. But offensively, I think they are different enough where they could still work. Rudy Gobert, more of that kind of traditional center, where he's not going out shooting threes and things
Mhm.
like that. At least has he added that to his arsenal?
No,
too?
he
Okay.
can't shoot a 4-footer, much less a
Exactly.
34-footer.
So Karl Anthony Towns, kind of that more modern big guy. He can stretch the floor a little bit. He handles the ball sometimes poorly, in my opinion, but he still tries to drive and do different things.
It's a big thing defensively because Cat's going to have to just guard on the perimeter. So if you let's say you're Karl Anthony Towns and you're guarding someone at the 3-point line, he blows by you. Not a big problem because now behind you is
You got a
Rudy
shot
Gobert,
blocker.
one of the best shot blockers in the game, or maybe even in the history of the game. It's the problem of if you don't get out quick enough, then they're shooting threes. So you just got to make sure he's out there and pressing up on the 3-point shooters mainly.
Well, and maybe they have to find a rotation. I think obviously they're both going to start.
Yep.
But maybe if teams start to go small on them, now they have to find a rotation. Okay, which guy do we want to keep in at this point? Which guy do we want here? It's going to be fun to see. Now, I'm not going to claim I'm going to watch every Timberwolves game, but
I won't either.
I will always tune in to a Minnesota sports anything if it's with you or with Cole Jerk or one of my other buddies, Chris, and just watch you guys melt down.
We do
even
tend to do
in
that.
the first quarter.
We do tend to
trade Karl Anthony Towns, fire everyone, start it all over, and then they go on and win the game.
I still stand by what I said earlier. As long as Cat's on the team, they won't ever make a Western Conference Finals. So it's out there, right? It's on the board, right, Micah?
That's on your prediction
Is that
board,
what's on the
too?
board?
It's not on the board. It's only Sano and Burrow, so we got to add it to the board.
I could add it to the board. I said that I think after they had lost to the Grizzlies, and I was kind of done with Cat. Yeah,
Do you think
I
there's
went that far?
Who's the better option than him?
On the team currently?
No, like what do you want them to do with him? Trade him, get picks, trade him, get a guy.
You could trade him and get some really good players.
Well, I know you could.
And some picks. I think the team is basically Anthony Edwards' team at this point.
It should be.
Yeah.
He's an unbelievable talent. I think they found
young talent.
Found a good one in the draft.
Who when he was drafted said that was a wrong pick. So that shows you my basketball acumen. So I'm probably not the guy to trust on that, but I am looking forward to their season. And Minnesota sports, there's some expectations on the Timberwolves for the first time in a decade plus, maybe other than that 1 year with Jimmy Butler. The Twins, by the way, did get a win last night, since we're talking Minnesota sports.
I was just going to look that up.
They did get a win. They were down 2-0 in the first inning, and that was my Minnesota sports pessimism coming through of, great, here we go against the Royals. But they won the game 4-2, got a couple of runs, and won that one. Your White Sox came back in the ninth inning against Houston.
I was going to say, they won as well. They've won 4 in a row.
Cleveland won the first game of a doubleheader and then lost the second game, so
back to
both
2 games.
You and us, we gained a half game on Cleveland, on the Guardians. So that one is a very tight division coming here towards the end of August. We'll take a break here, though. We'll come back. Rob Hipp, the new voice of the Bison, caught up with Tamerick Williams for a conversation at NDSU Media Day. We'll hear that one when we come back here on The Insiders, brought to you by Proceed.
Champions play here.
You're vice president material. You're vice president material.
Bison 1660.
Mark your calendars for September 24th and join the 14th Annual Celebrity Dinner and Auction at the Fargo Air Museum. The celebrity plane for 2022 is the F-101B Voodoo. This is in honor of the North Dakota Air National Guard winning the 1970 and 1972 U.S. Air Force aerial gunnery competition under the direction of Major General Alexander McDonald. Salute to the winning legacy is this year's theme. Enjoy an evening of entertainment, food, live and silent auctions, and more. Purchase your tickets at FargoAirMuseum.org.
Hi, it's Kelly, and I want to tell you about my great experience with Valley Service Mechanical. They were polite and very easy to deal with. They were knowledgeable and helped me understand every step of the process. From the initial discussion of purchase options to the installation, it was a top-notch experience. If you ever want to work with professionals, I would strongly recommend Valley Service Mechanical.
When your heating and cooling needs help and your plumbing is on the fritz, call Valley Service Mechanical, 701-293-5701. Online at valleyservice.net.
It's August, and that means it's time for the annual Schumacher Tire Sale. For over 25 years, Schumacher Tire has been giving you the best deal on Cooper tires with their buy 3 Cooper tires at regular price and get the 4th tire free. If you haven't taken advantage of this sale, now is the time to jump on board and get new Cooper tires on all of the vehicles in your household. So check your tires and hurry into your full-service auto repair shop and Cooper Tire dealer, Schumacher Tire, located on 13th Avenue in Fargo.
Do you remember back to the days when business was conducted at the coffee shop? The details were written on a napkin and the deal was concluded by a handshake. If you were the supplier, you probably filled out the check and the amount, and if the guy really trusted you, you filled in the check register. The check might even have been a counter check. Now you can do it on our iPad or phone or get confirmation that the transaction was concluded by clicking the right button on your email program. Memories. Need seed. Think Proceed.
When is the last time you went to the dentist? Has it been more than 6 months? Then it's time to make an appointment. My friends at About Smiles Dental are accepting new patients. Not only for you, but your entire family. Our family loves the team at About Smiles. And let's be honest, there's no better feeling than a clean and healthy smile. At About Smiles, their name says it all. Your smile is their top priority. It's easy to skip appointments, but the dentist isn't one you should put off. Make sure you're keeping up with your oral hygiene. Schedule your appointments now at About Smiles Dental.
Cardinal IG would like to shine the spotlight on their employees celebrating August anniversaries. Marty Severson is celebrating 23 years. Okabai Ebe is celebrating 9 years. Daniel Mawa, 4 years. Randy Monroe, Razine Asfaha, and David Bunzo are all celebrating their first year. From the entire team, thank you. Cardinal IG offers competitive pay, outstanding benefits, and an extensive training program. Now hiring for production technicians and maintenance technicians. Apply online at cardinalfargo.com.
You're listening to your home for NDSU athletics.
To the 10, cut to 10, 5, shot in there, baby!
Bison 1660.
Kind of heard the Hall of Famer Phil Hansen in that rejoin just a little bit. Get in there. I love those little drop-ins from Phil. I think Phil will be on the show next week for his first. I know it's not game week, but start to get in that feeling of football, obviously. We're already in that feeling of football, so think the Hall of Famer Phil Hansen might be making his triumphant return to these airwaves next week on the program. And some more things on tap for next week as well as we get closer and closer. Plus, a lot of things left over still from NDSU Media Day we have yet to get to, including everything from the new voice of the Bison, Rob Hipp. If you guys aren't already, follow Rob on the social media. He's been great so far at kind of connecting with the community, getting out there, showing his passion for Bison athletics, and looking forward to getting him on the show a little bit more permanently in the not-so-distant future as well. But last week, NDSU Media Day, Rob Hipp was out there, caught up with running back for the Bison from Texas, from SMU, the SMU transfer from last season, Tamerick Williams, and a great conversation with him and Rob Hipp.
Hey, Bison Nation, Rob Hipp here with senior running back Tamerick Williams, and we were just talking off mic. We got some kind of connections back in Texas.
My mom went to Sam Houston. She graduated from Sam Houston. But yeah, no, that's good, man. I had no clue you was coming from Sam Houston, but now I'm like, okay, now I got somebody else from Texas up here. They're near my area at least. So.
Yeah, so we know the area. You know, you went to high school at Angleton. Of course, you know Texas is a high school football state. North Dakota up here, it's all NDSU, but there in Texas, it's high school football. What has that transition been for you? Coming from Texas, of course, well known for high school football, and then going to SMU, getting to play there for a little bit, and then transferring over a year ago here to NDSU. What has that whole process been like for you, man?
For me, man, it's been fun, and it's been able to have a glimpse to be able to learn from two different programs, you know, to pick out some similarities, some differences, and just to ultimately see, I always got to remind myself to be where my feet are and just enjoy the moment, man. That's what college football is about, enjoying the sport and being around your teammates. I love being around my teammates, man. The camaraderie that we have here in Fargo and on the team, man, is unlike any other place.
When you had an opportunity to come from SMU, to be part of that Bison pride, just describe that experience. And then, of course, getting a national championship, that's got to be just, in your mind, one of the greatest things.
Man, since the day I've committed to come here and play at NDSU, man, I've received nothing but love, man. The city of Fargo, the people in this city is what makes it so special, man. Everybody's quick to give each other a helping hand. Everybody's always showing so much love towards the Bison football scene. And I mean, honestly, I like to say this place is the college station of the FCS, man. Like, if you want to come to a place that has a lot of fans and that love to be around the football team, man, Fargo is your place.
Talking about the fans, this fan base, and I'm new here, but I know this fan base is so incredible. Got to witness it firsthand coming down to Frisco, of course. What has this fan base meant to you? Because you know how wild everybody gets and how in tune they are with this program. From a student athlete perspective, how has that been for you?
It's been really unbelievable, man, to travel all the way to Frisco to play that championship game and to see a sea of gold and green, man. It's a feeling unlike no other, man. I can't even describe it, man. You just have to see it yourself. But you know, anytime, any moment that happens in the game, man, it's always exciting to have a wide variety of people that support you, man. I think getting that much love from a town or a city, man, it's unbelievable.
We look forward to this season. Of course, just underway in camp, 6 days in or so. What have been some of the early takeaways this offseason in that running back spot that you've really got to work on?
For me, mostly, man, it's just making sure my feet are always good and being sharp in the playbook, being sharp in my assignment, knowing what I'm doing at all times, man. I think when I do that, it tends to make me more comfortable and I'm more relaxed when I'm playing on Saturdays.
With how well this program has played for so many years now, what kind of pressure do you feel to continue that, or do you just kind of say there's really no pressure, we just go out and play games? What's your thought process on that?
My thought process goes into, man, just taking it one play at a time. I really don't look forward on the future. I just try to live in the moment, be where my feet are, and be like water, which is what my old strength coach used to say. And I just pretty much try to go with the flow of everything, man. But I always enjoy the moment when I'm there.
Being part of the herd now, what is something that you've learned that maybe you didn't learn at another program, or even at a high school level? What's something that has really stuck with you so far through this journey as a junior?
Mostly, man, it's just being intentful with everything, man. Whether it's a workout, you're in the classroom, you're studying for a test, man. That's probably been the biggest thing that I picked up about being here, man. Just having the right amount of intent behind everything that you do.
You go go ahead 20 years from now when you hear this audio clip? What do you tell your younger self?
Man, mostly is to continue to keep God first, continue to remain humble, work hard, and everything else will take care of itself.
That's a good message, man. Here's a little bit of fun outside of football. Coming from Texas, you know how it is. My buddy Matt Leishman's also from Angleton, and you talk about an area that doesn't receive a lot of snow. What was that weather transition like for you?
Man, I tell you, man, it's something that it's not. I'm probably not gonna get used to the remainder of the time that I'm here, but it definitely was an adjustment. Man, I can't even describe it, man. Some of my teammates told me that this winter was probably like the lightest winter they've had in a while. I'm like, what, man? It can get way worse than that? Like, I couldn't even believe it, man. But man, it's definitely something that I don't even know if I'm gonna get adjusted to. But I do enjoy seeing snow more often because I don't get that a lot in Texas, especially where I'm from. I'm way south, so I don't get a lot of that. But I enjoy it. I do.
Talking again here with the senior running back Tamerick Williams. A couple of other just fun questions outside of football, man. What do you like to do?
I'm a big gamer. I like to play on the game with my buddy Spence. My buddy Spence over there, man. We play a little bit of Fortnite. Madden, 2K. I'll be all around, man. But I mostly like hanging with my teammates. Game here and there, and I love listening to music. I'm an old school guy. So,
you got anything you can sing for us?
Man, I ain't got the vocals for that. Man. He did put me on the spot though, but
we'll get those next time. All right.
Yeah, we'll definitely get those next time for sure. I have some lyrics lined up for you.
When you say what music though, man?
Mostly R&B, hip hop, a little bit of funk here and there, a little bit of pop. Okay. You know, I dabble in a little bit of everything. I got a little bit of country on the side as well. But right, you know.
Well, final question: green beans or broccoli?
Man, I'm a broccoli guy, man.
I knew you were a broccoli guy, man. You know. Well, once again, it's our senior running back, Tamerick Williams. Tamerick, so excited for you, this program, this season. I know you're making an impact on the younger players. Keep doing what you do, and hey, man, horns up.
Hey, man, horns up. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate the people of Fargo. Thank you.
There you go. Fun conversation. Rob Hipp and Tamerick Williams. You a green beans or broccoli guy?
I was just thinking about that. I don't
know why that's got to be a Texas thing, green beans or broccoli, like a debate.
I don't know which. I honestly don't know. I want
asparagus.
It's steamed broccoli. I'll go broccoli.
Yeah, steamed broccoli, like raw broccoli. No, I'm not taking that. I'll probably go broccoli.
I probably would go broccoli too. Personally,
that's a close one. If you asked me 15 years ago, I'd probably say green beans. There wasn't really a broccoli fan.
Okay,
taste buds adapted a little bit.
They adapt over time. They do change a little bit. So I have a grandmother who's a phenomenal human being. Love her. Great. My last living grandparent. I absolutely love her. She's a phenomenal baker. Cooking not always her strong suit. So when she was babysitting us once, she asked us what we wanted for dinner. We were like, I don't really know all this, kids. Like, I don't really care. Just we're kind of feeling like broccoli and cheese, like something with broccoli and cheese. You know, like some melted cheese on broccoli, steamed broccoli. She says, okay, that sounds kind of weird, but sure. Like 10 minutes later, okay, dinner's ready. We get up there. It's just a giant thing of raw broccoli and a hunk of Velveeta cheese.
Well, you put that on yourself.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's on you.
That was our own fault. That was us as a kids. But, that was our fault on that one. But probably a broccoli guy over green beans.
Yeah,
overall.
It's tough. I mean, we're talking about vegetables. It's not like I'm passionate about either of them.
Either way, yeah.
I kind of forced myself to eat them. Mm-hmm. Eat a little bit less now.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some days I'm like, I got my vegetables in. And then I just forget about them for about a month in between those one trips.
We try. We do our best.
Tamerick Williams, though. I think we not forget about him like we do with the vegetables, but transition. Nice. Excellent transition.
Well
Thank
done.
you. We forget about him a little bit because we did kind of run things, but he got Kobe Johnson back. I think he got a healthy Dom Ganella, who was kind of the bell cow back. Not bell cow, but a lot of carries early on in September and early October. And obviously Hunter Lipke's there. So what role do you see Tamerick Williams, who's not going to have to? I think one of the reasons he didn't get a lot of carries early, he was kind of learning the offense last year. He's got the offense down.
I think he's more comfortable. Yeah, I think we've talked at length about the depth in that running back room. I think it's going to be hard to be the guy this year. I think he kind of became the guy, and he did a phenomenal job at the end of the year last year because of some injuries. Some guys banged up, and they needed it. The run game was a little bit stagnant at times, kind of in the middle of that season, and they found something with Tamerick Williams. I think he's going to have a role. Now, how big is that role? I don't know. Is he going to be the starter week one? I think he's earned it. I do. I think based on what he did last year, I think he's earned it. But, again, there's going to be a lot of carries to go around. The good news is NDSU likes to run the football. I think there's going to be – we don't know what's going to happen, right? I mean, another injury could happen. We hope it doesn't, but another injury could happen. Does he become the guy earlier on? But either way, no matter what, I think he's going to have a role. I think it's going to be a big role, and I think he's earned that.
I do think Tamerick himself is dealing with a little bit of an injury. It might be an ankle. Don't quote me on that, but I remember that from the press conference with Matt Entz. Going to be fine. Should be okay for week one, but dealing with a little bit of something himself. And like you said, we don't want there to be an injury. But one thing we've learned, especially with NDSU's offense and the amount of time you run and the physicality they play with, chances of a running back at some point getting banged up here or there, missing a game or two, probably pretty good, even if it is Tamerick. That's why you do have Kobe Johnson and Jalen Bussey and Dominic Ganella and Barika Penn, whose name keeps coming up every time Coach Entz is on. Barika Pino is mentioned. He's mentioned a time or two. The young man out of West Fargo Cheyenne High School. So that's another name to keep your eyes open for and your ears open for. So, and then Hunter Lipke's a phenomenal back, and you got to figure maybe you have a carry or two for Cam Miller, a carry or two for Phoenix Bros or one of those wide receivers. So, plenty of mouths to feed if you are one Tyler Roll. Which, by the way, we'll hear from Tyler Roll and David Braun tomorrow on the show. They sat down and talked with Rob Hips. A little Coordinator Wednesday for you tomorrow on the show. We'll take our final break, though. We'll come back or wrap up the show next with actually a few minutes to spare at the end of the show, which is a rarity for us. So that should be a fun final segment coming up next.
Always having a good time, but never letting it get out of hand.
I approach you from the front and kind of like, wow, this dude's pretty serious. Then I walk away and you're like, he likes to party with 2 R's.
You've got the Insiders on Bison 1660.
Hi, it's Kelly, and I want to tell you about my great experience with Valley Service Mechanical. They were polite and very easy to deal with. They were knowledgeable and helped me understand every step of the process. From the initial discussion of purchase options to the installation, it was a top-notch experience. If you ever want to work with professionals, I would strongly recommend Valley Service Mechanical.
When your heating and cooling needs help and your plumbing is on the fritz, call Valley Service Mechanical, 701-293-5701. Online at valleyservice.net.
Stop in today at Bernie's and shop their great selection of wine, beer, and liquor. From local brews and ready-to-drink cocktails to unique wines and worldwide brands, they're sure to have exactly what you're looking for. Find them on social at Bernie's Wines and Liquors or online at berniesfargo.com. Bernie's Wines and Liquors, serving the FM area for over 50 years. Located Midtown on South University Drive in Fargo and Cheyenne Street in West Fargo.
All your best times begin at Bernie's.
Please drink responsibly.
When you're making decisions about your ag operation finances, you need access to the experts. This is Scott Solandic with Cornerstone Bank. Whether you're just starting your operation or looking to grow, we're here to talk you through those financial decisions. We're the kind of people who get to know you and genuinely appreciate your needs. If you're looking for a bank that's been specializing in ag banking for generations, come see us at Cornerstone Bank.
Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hey folks, don't let bad credit hold you back from buying a car. Corwin Public Wholesale can help you get financed today. Visit corwinwholesale.com or stop by their location on 38th Street South in Fargo. Corwin Public Wholesale has helped thousands of people who have bad credit, no credit, bankruptcy, repo, divorce, or late payments. And with their financing power, Corwin Public Wholesale can get you into any vehicle today. They accept all credit applications. Apply today, drive today at Corwin Public Wholesale.
The second annual El Zagel 9 Holes in 1 Challenge, Sunday, August 28th. You could win cash prizes from Nearson Chevrolet Cadillac, Gateway Chevrolet Cadillac, Stutzman Harley Davidson, RDO Moorhead, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Camping World, Fargo Force Hockey, Town and Country Credit Union, Buffalo Wild Wings. The Hole in 1 Challenge is on all 9 holes, plus cash prizes for closest to the pin and putting. It's the second annual 9 Holes in 1 Challenge to help all El Zagel. Register now at e-zholeinone.com.
Summer is usually the time when you're completing a long to-do list. If one of those things requires an electrician, then you need Rick Electric. It's Chris Hansen, and they've done plenty of great projects at our house. Rick Electric's been doing big projects and small projects all over the area since 1964. For your safety and for that of everyone around you, skip the DIY YouTube electrical work and call the experts at Rick Electric, 233-6194, rickelectric.com.
He played professional football, and the other guy obsesses over his fantasy football team.
Every year I set this league up. Every year, and I never win. This was the year!
It's Kyle Emanuel and Andy Rickoff, the Insiders, on Bison 1660.
Final segment with you on the show. Sometimes our commercial conversations even better than the stuff on air. We should find a way to monetize that. Back with you inside our Tharaldson Ethanol Broadcast Center. Tharaldson Ethanol is one of the nation's largest ethanol facilities. This 175 million gallon per year ethanol plant is located just west of Castleton. Fuel your future by joining the growing team today. View open positions at tharaldsonethanol.com. Andy, Kyle, Micah with you. Back with you again tomorrow as well on the show. We'll have the coordinators, David Braun, Tyler Roll, their conversations with Rob Hipp, and a whole lot more here as we continue to get closer and closer to NDSU football. We'll be talking with some Arizona reporters probably the last week of the month when you're getting close to the start of the regular season, and then obviously that game week, which is week 3. We're looking ahead. Team Millie isn't, but we are, because that's a big game, obviously, with it being an FBS opponent. You can watch each and every one of our shows on our Facebook page via the Horsch Cam, Horsch Farming with Passion, online at horsch.com, HORSCH.com. We appreciate all of you watching there on our Facebook page. You can also leave us a comment like John and Darla Jean did today. Darla Jean saying, what's with New England and Carolina fighting in joint practice and having players thrown out? Junior high school kind of stuff? I think that's just the typical pro and ultra-competitor kind of stuff, Darla Jean, but I will let Kyle Emanuel speak to the fun that is joint practices.
Yeah, well, I wasn't a huge fan of them to start with, but what I will say about it is you get two teams that are tired of going against each other. They're tired of camp. They have to go against someone new for two days, and there's kind of no consequences, right? It's not like in a game where you're going to get flagged and you're going to get fined. Now, I don't know. Maybe that's a step the NFL takes. They start fining people for getting fights in joint practice. I don't know. But when you kind of don't have consequences, when guys start getting a little grabby, they do something that ticks you off a little bit, like it's just bound to happen. Now it's not your teammate. It's not a guy you have to go into the locker room and talk with after the practice. Like, for whatever reason, and I can't really explain it unless you've been in, like the tempers just kind of, the flare, the intensity goes up. You got guys fighting for spots, roster spots. You got veterans that, they might not like a younger guy going harder than they wanted them to. Whatever it is, there's a million reasons why people get mad in football, but you got all these alpha males going at each other for, so I think we did, the most was 2 days, maybe 3 days, and then you have to play them the next day, and so you just get to that point in camp. It's just, it's part of football. Now, usually these fights, quote fights, aren't like, they're not like crazy. Sometimes, now I have seen some crazy ones, helmets come off, things start getting swung. There's been those. But for the most part, they're not too out of hand, but they can. And the reason players are getting thrown out is because coaches know this. Like, every time we had a joint practice, like we got a talking to every time. Like, we'd sit down, the whole team, both teams together, and talk. There's no fighting. If you fight, you're thrown out. So they knew it going in, but sometimes it still happens.
Again, doesn't hurt your team, doesn't hurt your wallet.
Yeah, exactly.
If the worst thing happens, I got thrown out, I missed half a day of practice. Oh, no. Now, if you're fighting for a roster spot, that's bad. But if you're a proven veteran guy, it's like, oh, no, I have to sit out for an hour. What's big deal about that, right? And it does seem like there's a lot of times it's either one young guy or guy fighting for a roster spot, or two that are fighting for a roster spot. Like you said, they got, those guys are the most competitive. They're the ones that are maybe overly trying hard sometimes and got that extra chip on their shoulder, and seems to be the way that one happens. But I'm not surprised when it happens. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens with the Vikings and the 49ers. Never really involves the quarterback. It's usually like receivers and corners, which seems like it is. Maybe offense and defensive line as well. The Saints, I think, have a joint practice coming up here, too, this week. So Trevor Penning, there's a good chance.
I'm going to say set the over-under at like 2.5 fights.
Trevor Penning was thrown out of his own team practice for starting fights with his own team 3 times in a week. So, yeah.
So at least 2.5.
Yeah.
Might be low.
Maybe
3.5 fights.
3 and 3. Can we have a perfect week? 3 and 3 days, Trevor Penning?
Possibly. Well, he might. Yeah, if he gets thrown out, he might not be able to get in more than one a day. If he could, I'm sure he would.
You try to, at the very least. And then John also leaving a comment saying, hey, Andy and Kyle, send me a yard sign for here in Montana. I'll pay the postage. Just give the Cat and Grizz fans some fits to go along with my Bison flags. We might have to do that.
Ooh, yeah, we might have to. I like that.
Just a little jab at a Bobcat fan driving by like, oh, yeah, those guys crushed us. Yeah. Or the Montana fans like, yeah, we haven't gotten a chance to play them since that one regular season game. We like a chance to prove things. Actually, no, I take that back. Playoffs a couple years ago, and didn't go well for the Grizz either.
No, it did not. So yeah, we might have to send them out some Bison yards. So that's why I need it in case. And I don't think I've seen UND flags in my neighborhood. I'm trying to think. There's probably 1 or 2 I've missed, but just in case,
take them down.
I don't have a Bison flag out there, so I need the yard sign. So the yard sign's going up. I got it today. I'm not going to forget it.
We'll have some yard signs to give away at shows here coming up in the not-so-distant future, too. Some live shows on location. We'll tell you more about that later on this week and early on next week, too. But that will do it for the show today. Big thanks to Charlie Goldsmith for stopping by, telling us Cordell's practicing with the ones. Love to hear that. Go Cordell. Also, thanks to Wyatt Wheeler for the latest things on Missouri State. Back with you again tomorrow on The Insiders 11 to 1.
Headaches, anxiety, chronic pain, or sick kids? What we have been sold as health fixes to these and many other symptoms are nothing more than expensive, sometimes dangerous, and often scary ways to cover them up. I'm Dr. Jake Grinacher, and at Strive Chiropractic, we got tired of scare, care, and disease management. Our team of doctors listen,